game night, they're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
If only life had a remote control, you could pause or rewind. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Here comes an opportunity. Jankowski scores! Welcome to Raleigh, Mark Jankowski. He's got the Canes up 1-0. So out in front, it's on the goal line, they score! His second of the game! Oh, what a debut! And the adrenaline's really pumping now for Mark Jankowski. 2-0, Canes over the Jets. Shosty centers it, the score! Side of the net, Mark Jankowski. Jost sent it in. Jankowski was there. And stay hot, Mark Jankowski, his 6th goal with the Canes.
Are we having Jankowski on the show today that I don't know about? A lot of Mark Jankowski love. Hi, everyone. It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria's here. We've already had Mark Jankowski on the show.
It's a very nice guy.
Wonderfully nice.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken with him. I've spoken with Taylor Hall. I had a little conversation with Seth Jarvis the other day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Also incredibly nice. Yeah, no Hurricanes hockey tonight, but I do feel like there are Hurricanes things that we can discuss today. Andrei Svechnikov returned to, it looks like, the group of 12 among the starting forwards. So he should be ready for the Hurricanes and the Montreal Canadiens tomorrow night at Lenovo Center, second of a 4-game homestand. Montreal tomorrow, Islanders on Sunday, and the Washington Capitals on Wednesday. And believe it or not, when this homestand is over, we are staring at what amounts to 2 more weeks of the regular season.
Went by fast.
When the homestand is over, so a week from yesterday, Hurricanes play Washington. Right? They will have 8 games left. And they're going to come fast. The Hurricanes will finish on the road. Last 2 games are in Montreal and in Ottawa, back-to-back. I think the final regular season game is Thursday, the 17th of April. And playoffs are scheduled to begin, although we don't know where Carolina will be in the playoff calendar. But the first day of the playoffs is scheduled to be Saturday, April 19th. My guess is the teams that finish on Thursday won't be asked to play Saturday, that they will be part of the schedule for Sunday or Monday, because I don't think we're going to see all 8 series start on the weekend. I think you'll see a series or 2 straggling to Monday. So we have really no idea what the calendar is going to be. What I hope is that during the playoffs, we won't have back-to-backs. Now, in years past, we have. We didn't have any last year. But it bothers me at times when they do back-to-backs. In general, they try to do that for TV purposes, because that's the most important thing, isn't it? But we're there. We're that close to the start of the playoffs. Again, today's Thursday, 2 weeks from Saturday. It's 3 weeks from Saturday we're supposed to start. 3 weeks from Saturday. Playoffs.
That's crazy.
And there is, it is as good a postseason as there is on earth.
Playoff hockey is my fave.
It is amazing. Look, all sports have great playoffs.
Yeah. They do. I love hockey players.
I love playoff baseball.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
I love playoff baseball.
Big time.
When there are real stakes, it's just nothing better.
Yes.
Nothing better at all. All right, we should go. We should start. And believe it or not, that's not where I'm starting. You know what today is?
Opening day.
100%. We should only use organ music today. Okay?
Yeah.
Just organ music
Okay.
for opening day. As a kid who grew up in the tri-state area, and when I say that, I mean New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, in the New York metropolitan area, my first recollection of anything was baseball, was New York Mets baseball. And I know there are people out there going, oh, I feel sorry for you. Don't. It's okay. You are who you are. I went to every Mets home opener from the time I was 5 until my sophomore year in college. Never missed a home opener. That's it. I mean, and when the Mets opened on the road, around 1:30, 2 o'clock, I don't feel well, Mr. Mrs. Teacher. Can I go to the nurse's office? We had nurse's offices back in schools when I was a kid.
Yeah. Do they not still have a
I don't think they do
No?
in many places anymore.
Oh.
Anyway, in budgets. So, yeah, I would go home. And I would somehow manage to get there just in time for first pitch.
Oh, what a coincidence.
Yeah, just very coincidental. So, I did not miss a home opener or even a road opener. I was always there, always watched
Don't blame you.
And I have said for years that opening day in Major League Baseball should be a national holiday. We shouldn't ask kids to go to school. And hey, look, that would be great for the areas that don't have Major League Baseball and don't have a rooting interest in a team. That'd be fine. They get a day off.
Yeah.
But we all, I shouldn't have had to miss school to go see the game. Or even for you, if you weren't going, to go watch the game. And again, I did that for when the Mets opened up on the road. I remember, one year they opened up in Chicago, and I was mad. I got home an hour early. I'm like, wait a second. Oh, man. I forget game doesn't start till 2:20.
Right? Central Time.
Yeah. Hated that. Anyway, that's the way it always should be. I give Major League Baseball a ton of credit. Over the years, they have shifted opening day where it is now it's at the end of the week. I mean, the home openers used to be Tuesday. Why?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this on a Tuesday? It doesn't make any sense.
Not fun.
Right? So, yeah, Tuesdays never made sense. First of all, every Major League season should start the same way. Cincinnati Reds at home, first game. Their game should start before everybody else. Just tradition. I could get this wrong. I don't know that I am, but I think they're the oldest Major League Baseball franchise. And that's why they have traditionally played the first game. Although nowadays that doesn't exist anymore. But that's what Reds at home opening the season before anybody else.
Yes. Cincinnati Red Stockings.
Yes, they were the Red Stockings.
1869.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. Phew.
I'm not as dumb as I look. So that's what every year they should start first. Whether it's by 15 minutes, by a half hour, I don't care. First pitch in Cincinnati every year. And then but we should play all of these games during the day. The only exceptions would be, because it should be a celebration of the game, that, okay, I can deal with like the Dodgers and Tigers are playing today. That's a 7 o'clock game. 4 o'clock in L.A. Mm-hmm. All good. We have West Coast teams. Put a West Coast team on in the 4 o'clock window, and then get a West Coast game on late night. So there would be essentially 2 night games. Everybody else opens during daylight.
Yes.
Major League Baseball, do it. Stat. Now, we're going to talk to, by the way, Doug Glanville from ESPN Radio, and ESPN is going to be with us today. And he is at the Dodgers-Tigers game in L.A. As they open up the season against one another. I am very bullish on this, and I will take no guff from any of you.
No guff.
Guff. No guff taken. Put that on a coffee mug.
Yeah.
All right. You know what else today is?
Thursday.
Look, I mean, you're right again.
You're pre-Friday, apparently.
It is. I am not. It is my Friday.
Yeah.
I am off today. It is the start of the Sweet 16.
Yes.
So half of the Sweet 16 will be played tonight, the other half tomorrow night, and then on the weekend we will narrow this down to the final 4 teams. It's funny. The NCAA tournament, when the brackets are unveiled that Sunday night, after all the conference championship games are over, it seems like it's such a big event, and it is a big event. But boy, it goes fast. And for something that is so awesome and feels like, man, it's just great because it stretches out over 3 weeks. Once it starts, it's over. Mm-hmm. It is so quick. I mean, literally, we're going to get to Sunday. It's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
It's the Final Four already? So
Yep.
I am not suggesting that the NCAA should expand the tournament. I am not saying that. But as a consumer of great events, and this is maybe the greatest single sporting event that we have, that is the argument. That would be the argument made for expanding the field, is that it just feels like it's over too quick.
It feels like Christmas.
Right?
Because it goes by so fast.
Oh, man.
And so people want to stretch it out, so then they start putting up Christmas trees in October.
I was thinking just about the opening presents part of it. It's like Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes.
You cook Thanksgiving dinner for like 2 days.
Uh-huh.
And then you eat in 20 minutes, and it like what
right,
happened?
Wait, where'd it go?
And I can't move.
Now I'm in a turkey coma.
Right, I can't move, and I can't eat anymore. What am I doing? Yeah. That's all there is left to do is
Right.
sleep.
Give me some pie.
That's
Yeah.
what that actually is. We need to sleep after the NCAA tournament's over. Mm-hmm. But that would be your argument. By the way, I have a way to do it because I know they're going to expand, and I don't want them to expand the way they're going to expand, because I think the way to do the tournament better is not to have a first 4 times 2, because that's what we have now. We have two nights of doubleheaders, and ultimately they're adding 4 more teams to the field. Actually, it's 6 more teams. They're going to 76. I don't even know how they're going to do this. But they're adding 8 more teams. That's it. There you go. 8 more teams to the mix. And they're going to have like more first 4s. 4 of them, if you will. What I would do is I would take the top seeds and push them into another round already, and have no first 4s, and just have the tournament begin on the Wednesday, and have Monday night, late afternoon and Monday night games to advance to the Sweet 16. Do it that way, as opposed to what we have now with first 4. Take away the stigma of, you guys have to play your way into the actual field. This way also we'll have we're more likely to have people, use these other games as part of brackets. Mm-hmm. Right now, you don't have to pick a first 4 game.
No.
You could say, I think the winner of that game will keep winning. You could do that.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I got burned by UNC. But I would just as soon have buys for the very top teams and let everybody else just start the tournament the same day.
Yeah.
Same 2 days, Wednesday, Thursday for the first round, Friday, Saturday for the second round, and then Sunday, Monday to advance to the Sweet 16. I think that's a better way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But, they don't pay me to do these things. I offer them for free. All right, couple of more things. We haven't even gotten to the games. It is Duke versus Caleb Love for the 10th time.
Yep.
Now, Love has had in his career great success against the Blue Devils. And maybe people have forgotten the last two he didn't. He didn't play very well in the game in Arizona this year, nor did he play very well in the game that Arizona played at Cameron last year. Arizona won that game last year, though, so it didn't matter. But I'm not saying that matters at all. I think Caleb Love will play a great game. My assertion is it just won't matter to the outcome of the game. While the one thing that I will say about Arizona, and they are good, legit good, is that Arizona will not be bullied by Duke's size. I think they called them Alabama. Arizona has size. Multiple 7-footers. They have length on the wings and in the backcourt. Caleb Love is an NBA prospect in my book, just because of his body and he's not 6'6", but I think 6'3", 6'4" can play if he can just further refine his offensive game, not be such a volume shooter, but he has the athleticism and the explosion and the strength to play at the next level. So, I think he will play well. I do. I just think Duke is absolutely loaded for this tournament. They have so many weapons, so many different ways to beat you. There's a great article written by Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News. We're not talking to Mike today. We'll probably talk next week. He actually wrote a story about Duke through the lens of 2003 Syracuse. And for those people who remember that team that was led by Carmelo Anthony, Mike talked about what Anthony meant to that team and in many ways that era of college basketball. It is just a really good look at how good that team was, how good Anthony was, and then he brings it forward to this Duke team. Granted, I've seen people already comment about it. This Duke team has more around Cooper Flagg than that Syracuse team had. Although that Syracuse team had really good players, including Jerry McNamara, who I believe had 30-something in the national championship game. He was awesome in that game. But the piece speaks to sometimes we forget how good certain players were, and Melo was ridiculous in college. But also, when we're looking for some perspective about how good Cooper Flagg is, when somebody who knows brings up players like that, and when I started the season, I talked about Danny Manning. That Kansas team in '88 that won the national championship was called Danny and the Miracles. That supporting cast wasn't nearly as good as Carmelo Anthony's supporting cast or Cooper Flagg's supporting cast, right? But it's also, that was just a little bit of a different time. Today, there are so many good teams. I don't know that Arizona is one of those teams that can beat Duke. I think they will give Duke a hard time for a certain length of time, and this is what the Blue Devils generally do. It's not that they let you hang around. You play well. I thought Baylor played really well, but it's hard to sustain the level of play you need unless Duke helps you out. And Duke did not help Baylor out. Now, if Duke helps Arizona out, the game will stay tight and competitive. Arizona might even lead into the second half. But as soon as Duke plays their game, makes the shots they normally make, they don't even have to make it at the rate they have made them recently, I think it's over. when Duke finally becomes Duke during the course of a game, yeah, we're done. There are only a handful of teams, I think, left that can beat Duke when Duke plays well. Arizona is not one of them. I also don't think Arizona is the type of team that can force Duke into playing poorly, although they do have good size.
Yeah.
Like I said, they have. It is a big team. Alabama BYU is going to be a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling a little bit of BYU action here. Yeah, and BYU.
Look at the lines.
Yeah, it's like first of all, the over is $1 billion.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to go over.
Is that the one that it was like?
Yeah, 175 and a half.
170 something.
Yeah, 175 and a half. I mean, seriously, we're talking about a game played roughly in the 90s, high 80s, to go over.
Yeah, 175 and a half still.
Yeah, so we're talking, if Alabama were to win like 90 to 86, that is a half point over.
Yes.
Think about how many college basketball games you have seen go 90 to 86.
It's crazy
that don't need overtime.
Vegas knows this stuff.
Yeah. It is true. I mean, they get paid.
They do.
This is their job, right? We should all be as good at our job as they are at theirs. But Alabama BYU is going to be super entertaining, and theoretically, Duke would get the winner of Alabama BYU. But the winners of that's that little mini tournament that we talk about. Florida and Maryland are the top seed and the 4 seed in that region. That's the West region. Kentucky and Tennessee, 2 teams from the SEC. That should be an absolute blast. I like Tennessee. I think they're tougher. But Kentucky's had a good year. I like Tennessee. I like Florida in the other side. I like Duke. I'm kind of feeling a BYU vibe, although my bracket has
Hopefully Florida
Alabama.
figures out the free throw. Because they were having some
They were bad.
trouble.
They were bad at the stripe against UConn. They eventually figured it out.
Yeah.
But, man, we're all going to watch Walter Clayton.
I know.
I mean, that
can't
guy.
wait.
That guy was tremendous. All right. We are going to talk about this. Ross Martin's going to join us at the bottom of the hour because there's been a lot of talk about Elliot Cadeau in the transfer portal. I know Jalen Washington is also in the transfer portal. But, what does Elliot Cadeau in the transfer portal say about UNC basketball? Well, a couple of quick thoughts on this. One, to me it says that they're serious. Because this is a little bit of a departure for UNC. It's not a place in general where good players, really good players, come and then leave. This could be, you can take the following as a negative if you want. But Duke has been a place where they have big recruiting classes and then a whole bunch of players leave. Not playing, and it almost seems like, and I'll draw this analogy. When I was a kid, I was a high school, junior, senior, I was applying to colleges. I really wanted to go to Ohio State. And my best friend also wanted to go to Ohio State, and we both got in. And he went, I didn't. And the reason I didn't go was having talked to people who knew, not the people who went, but people who knew about the situation, I had found out that Ohio State made it very, very difficult on freshmen to maintain an academic level strong enough to get to sophomore year. Because of the way the university was run, if you graduated from an Ohio high school, you had to be admitted. But they still wanted out-of-state students, so they took a lot of out-of-state students. So the freshman class was massive every year. And the whole goal was to weed it out. Let's get rid of as many as we can.
Did your friend make it past the first year?
No.
Oh.
No, and he was super smart.
Yeah.
He transferred back to Rutgers at State University in New Jersey and graduated with honors. I was not interested in being challenged in that way.
No.
So I bring that analogy only because it almost seems like over the years, that Duke's freshman class has been in some ways put through that same thing. We're going to find out how many of you are ready, willing, able to advance past year one. And this is not a knock. It is super competitive when you consider the level of recruiting class they have brought in. So I don't know how many of the current group will be back next year. We know there are going to be some going to the NBA. All of that said, this says to me that North Carolina is serious about changing their basketball culture, which maybe while they've had pretty good success since Roy Williams left. I am not anti-Hubert Davis. I know there's a bunch of people out there that are. I think he's a really good coach. I think they have gotten a little comfortable at UNC with the brand and all of that. The entire landscape has changed. North Carolina did not change with it. Yes, they brought players out of the portal, but they still haven't changed with it. And now we will see if they are willing to change. Because in order to keep up and be at that level, there's a reason why North Carolina wasn't in the NCAA tournament this year. Flat out weren't good enough. So get the behind-the-scenes part of the program working properly. And with that comes, all right, what's our on-court product like? Elliot Cadeau was not a complete player through 2 years. And if you want to be successful at a great program, this, by the way, this is not all about Elliot Cadeau, in my opinion. Because Cadeau does so many things at a very high level that you could have an empty scoring spot in your roster. If the other elements are all great. But that was the other part of the Carolina problem this year. The other elements were not all great. Some of them weren't even that good. And as I said many times, and we'll break here. We'll talk to Ross Martin. Then Alan Lubin, Jalen Withers, and if those two guys who were starters by the end of the year should not be starters on high-level NCAA tournament teams. That's the problem that Carolina had this year. Ross Martin, Big Hitters Only podcast, 24/7 Sports as well. He will join us next.
From the heels
Touchdown, Carolina!
to the canes,
She scores!
he covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Adam Gold Show.
Hey, I know Cooper Flagg didn't win all of the awards. He won the two major ones. He got Player of the Year. He got Rookie of the Year. Neither were unanimous, which blows my mind. But he should have won Defensive Player of the Year as well. And John Shire was the Coach of the Year. Yes, I know Duke has all these great players. They were 19-1. They were 28-3. Historical point differential. Come on.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And it doesn't matter if your brackets are busted. Everybody's brackets are busted. You can still get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins if you are a new customer to FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Don't you know? So if you've been waiting to join, now's the time. I have two good upset picks for you. BYU over Alabama, they're plus 165. And Arkansas, probably just as good as Texas Tech, plus 190. FanDuel.com/AdamGold, FanDuel.com/AdamGold, College Hoops, Sweet 16, tonight. Let's go. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
These days, figuring out what, where, and how to watch TV is out of control. And so is the cost. That's why I'm psyched I found Philo. Live TV from A&E, Discovery, MTV, and all the channels I love. A huge library of movies and shows, and an unlimited DVR to save them. I also get AMC Plus and all their blockbuster hits. All this for just $28 a month when you sign up at philo.tv. Give it a try, risk-free at philo.tv.
You know that feeling? That confident, swaggerific feeling that says, look at me, world, I know stuff. Own that feeling with PlaySmart, a fun new go-to resource from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With PlaySmart, get to know the odds, learn tips, set limits and budgets, and make the most of your play. Awesome feeling, right? Right. Play smart, the way smart players play. Visit ncplaysmart.com. Must be 18 to play. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Spring is here, and there's no better time to let a new career blossom. The Wake County Public School System is hiring special education instructional assistants and bus drivers, and we need dedicated individuals to help transport kids and provide instruction to motivated students. You'll love our competitive salaries and comprehensive benefits, including retirement, and will enjoy a welcoming, positive culture that will motivate you every day. Apply now at careers.wcpss.net and discover a place where anything is possible.
Would you know what to do in a poison emergency? Would you know whom to call? Well, the answer is Poison Help. 1-800-222-1222. Poison Help is a 24/7 government hotline staffed by poison experts. It's free to call and available in over 100 languages. Every second counts in a poison emergency. Don't waste it wondering who to call. Save Poison Help in your phone today. 1-800-222-1222.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm. This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
Exactly. It's the way it should be.
Oh, man. I can smell the beer and hot dogs now.
Bull Durham was on a couple of mornings ago when I got up because it was on True TV. And the only time we ever watch True TV is during the NCAA tournament.
Yep. That's it.
But Bull Durham was on in the morning. I'm like, oh, man, baseball season is here. But we're not done with basketball yet. Ross Martin, Big Hitters Only podcast, 24/7 Sports, joining us on the Adam Gold Show. Sir, how are your brackets? I'm contractually obligated to ask that. Nobody cares how mine or yours are, but how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, my philosophy is always to go heavy chalk, and this year was probably the best year to go chalk.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Most of the top seeds advancing, so I just think you take too many risks with trying to take upsets, so just go chalk, and you usually end up okay.
Yeah, you do. If the plan is to win your office pool, you're probably better off staying with chalk. Chalk is generally around in the second week. Let me ask you about, because it was funny, because I was otherwise occupied with so many other things. Like Tuesday, I had a hockey game. I didn't even realize until I saw it on social media halfway through yesterday's show that Elliot Cadeau had put his name in the transfer portal with intent to transfer. Let me just ask you a big picture question. What do you think that says about the state of UNC's basketball program?
Loaded question there.
No, I don't mean it to be loaded. My answer, I'll tell you what my answer was. My answer was that they're taking it seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I think if a lot of people were not happy with the offense for UNC this past season, and you can't stay the same. You've got to grow and get better. So obviously, the most important person for the offense is the point guard. Now, who knows if he was pushed out or if they just? I mean, I think it's going to end up better for both parties, UNC and Cadeau, to go separate ways. I think UNC needs to get bigger across the board. They ran two guards that I've stood next to both those guys. I don't think they're both under 6 feet. Maybe right at 6 feet, 5'11". You can't have both your guards that tall. You can have maybe one, but you can't have two. And they need to get bigger across the board. You need to get a 7-foot center, 6'11" center, and have a shooter at the 4 position. So you're going to see a whole revamp of UNC's roster. And, a lot of the people are upset on the message boards about parting ways with Cadeau, but I think UNC can find a point guard that can shoot and that's a little bit bigger, and the offense may run a little better that way. But Cadeau's certainly talented. He's going to get a lot of money going someplace else, so I think he'll be fine as well.
Ross Martin is joining us, Big Hitters Only podcast, because I know how the question was going to be taken. Maybe it was better for me to tell you what my quick opinion was. I also don't think that this year's failings, whatever they were, because they had a good offensive team, I don't really think it was Cadeau's fault. I mean, to me, if you've got 4 really good players, a high-level upper part of the ACC starters around Cadeau, I think Elliot Cadeau is a fine point guard for you. He's a great driver. He's not a great defensive player. I've got issues with the fact that sometimes, Cadeau will kind of short circuit on the court, emotionally short circuit, which is not good from your point guard. But as an actual, like a talented player, I think he has a lot to offer. It just was not going to benefit this team enough because they didn't have enough of those players.
Yeah, this past season, the rosters didn't fit. I think he thrives with a lob threat and pick-and-roll big man. I mean, Baycott was kind of that last year. Someone who can really control the inside and create a lot of gravity. They really didn't have that. You kind of saw it a little bit at the end with Vin Allen Lubin and how successful that was. Like, Vin Allen Lubin and Cadeau had a really good chemistry late, but he never got to play with a true lob threat. And so that's an indictment of the staff not acquiring that in the transfer portal. And then this past year, the shooting wasn't up to snuff. Kay Tyson didn't pan out. But last year when they had some shooters, things worked. They were number 1 seed. They had Harrison Ingram and the names are escaping me. But
Cormac Ryan.
Had an incredible season.
Yeah,
Cormac Ryan, Harrison Ingram, and R.J. Davis were some 3-point threats. So you had those 3 players to surround him, and the offense looked a lot better. This year, the roster didn't fit, and so the blame kind of falls on a lot of different people, and some of that fell on Cadeau's hands. But yeah, he's a great college player.
Yeah.
I think he will be a top 10 point guard next year somewhere,
yeah,
wherever that is, and he'll make probably $1 million in NIL.
Good for him. I'm thinking about going back to school now, Ross. No, I'm not.
What position are you?
I'm a power point guard.
Yeah. Left bench.
Yeah. Ross Martin is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. So North Carolina brings in a GM. What are your thoughts on is the program now structured to take the next step, the steps they need to take? Is this the right GM? I mean, personally, I feel like they would be better suited for somebody with connections in recruiting and grassroots basketball as opposed to somebody who's signed a lot of NBA player contracts. But you might know better than I. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we don't have anything to go on about. There's no record to go on. I think after this year, we'll be able to kind of figure out if he's good or not. But I think there's 2 ways to go. You kind of go the agent route, which would be Jim Tanner, veteran NBA agent, or you go kind of grassroots basketball, which a lot of programs have done well. I think the Jim Tanner role is more of a executive director role as well, so he's going to have people underneath him that are doing a lot of the scouting and a lot of the grassroots stuff. But, he is respected. I think it was a great hire, but we'll see. He's got to produce. I think you're going to see the way UNC operates in transfer portal be a little bit different. Like, they can't wait around like they did last year. I think you're going to see some dominance fall quickly, but part of my job at CBS Sports and 24/7 Sports is all the transfer portal. So we're monitoring it closely, and a lot of the best players aren't in yet. So there's still 16 teams, and there's still it's a 30-day process. So there's some dominoes that are falling, but it's going to take a couple of weeks. But UNC's got to fill a lot of holes. They need a lot of different types of talented players to surround who's returning, and really we don't know exactly who's returning. Seth Trimble has a decision to make. Ian Jackson has a decision to make.
Yeah.
Drake Powell. Those 3 guys are huge, and that will determine what UNC needs Because if you lose those three, then you definitely need a shooting guard, definitely need a talented three. You definitely need a big man. Obviously need a point guard now too.
Yeah, you need depth too. I mean, here's the wild thing is that when you look at, and I don't want it's almost unfair to compare any team, even North Carolina at this stage, to what Duke's got. But Duke added 3 players. If you asked me if Duke needed personnel going into this season, knowing what their roster was going to look like, I would say, man, why are they bringing in 3 players? Where are they going to play? Somebody's going to lose time. They have managed to find out, thanks to injury, I guess, they have managed to find playing time. All 3 of the guys they brought out of the portal, even Mason Gillis, who has not played a ton, they've all played impactful roles in some games, some more than others. Sion James is a starter. Malik Brown, when healthy, is probably one of the best 6th or 7th men in the entire country. So they have managed to find those guys, but you need so much depth in the game. I mean, Carolina's got to bring in, whether it's through freshman or transfer portal, 7 new players, 8 new players?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, Duke had the advantage of knowing they were bringing in 3 starters as freshmen.
Right.
So they knew they needed to surround Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, and Kaman Malik surround those guys. UNC doesn't have that. They're going to probably start Caleb Wilson, the 5-star out of Atlanta, and even he's not going to be a super productive guy offensively. So it's just different. UNC needs to find starters, whereas Duke brings in starters as freshmen. Next year they're bringing the Boozer twins.
Yeah.
Shelton Henderson, they'll probably bring in 2 or 3 starters and surround them with talent. So definitely different models. It's just a different world we're living in. It's crazy.
Why do you think that is? Because, I mean, everybody's got theories. I've heard some theories. I'm curious as to yours, because there shouldn't be a big separation between Duke and North Carolina when it comes to recruiting. For 2 decades, there really wasn't. I mean, every once in a while, we'd have one school kind of edge their way out in front of the other. But there shouldn't be a big difference between the talent the 2 schools recruit. Why do you think it is right now?
Well, I think it goes back to Coach K's quick buy-in to the one-and-done rule.
Right.
And just going after the best freshmen, whereas Roy Williams, he would definitely target top players, but he was fine getting developmental pieces like a Marcus Page or a Joel Berry, Theo Pinson, a top 50 player. And so that trend saw UNC landing top 10 players and then going pro after 1 year. And so you have this track record of top draft picks that you see that happening. You can get more top draft picks coming in. So that just happened. That's the way it's been. UNC hasn't had an NBA All-Star since Vince Carter. Duke's probably had 25 or 30 since Vince Carter.
Yeah.
And people see that and want that to happen. But, I mean, the success, though, has been similar.
I agree.
UNC had 3 national titles in a row, another Final Four appearance in 22, and it's very a lot of cycles going in there. So it'll cycle back eventually. I mean, this is a huge offseason for Hubert. He's got to figure it out. He's got to hit on, like you said, they got to bring in 6 or 7 transfers, hit on 3 or 4 of them, get some starters. It's a huge year for Hubert. A lot of pressure this year.
All right, final thing for Ross Martin, Big Hitters Only podcast, 24/7 Sports. Do you think there's legit pressure? I'm actually going to have 2 quick things. Do you think there's legit pressure on Hubert to the point where this is a make or break for another year?
Yeah, I think I'm talking with a lot of friends about this. Like, what does he have to do this year coming up, 2025, 26? I mean, I think he has to be a top 5 seed, top 4 seed in the tournament to get another year. Like, I think it has to be a really, really big year. I mean, I don't think UNC fans and the donors are going to accept, like, a number 11 seed is not cutting it.
Right.
And they've been on the bubble now 2 years, haven't made it 1 year.
Yeah.
And even the Final Four year provided him with a lot of cushion, but they were really not that good until they were good.
Yeah.
And got an 8 seed and made a run.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think it's got to be like, all right, 1, 2, or 3 in the ACC and a top 5 seed in the tournament. Otherwise, I think it's going to be very interesting this time of year next year.
All right, what chance do you give Caleb Love and Arizona against Duke tonight?
I think Duke is way too good. I haven't watched much Arizona, watched a lot of Duke. I mean, I think Duke is going to roll. But it'd be an incredible story if, Caleb gets an opportunity or a shot late to win or something. It'd be unbelievable. You hear Tyler Hansworth say they're going to put if Caleb Love gets it done, they're going to raise Caleb Love's Arizona jersey in the Smith Raptors.
That's better than the question I was about to ask. Will you get an Arizona Caleb Love jersey if the Wildcats pull off the upset tonight? I'm with you. I think Love's going to have a good game, and I don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah, and he won't be scared either. I mean,
no.
Caleb Love has never been scared of the state.
Oh, over-under shot attempts for Caleb Love, 17.5.
Yeah, probably over. Probably at least 10 threes, right?
They're going to need him. Ross Martin, Big Hitters Only Podcast, 24/7 Sports, at Ross Martin NC on Twitter. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate it, Adam. See you.
You got it. Ross Martin here on the Adam Gold Show. That to me, the Caleb Love, the Elliot Cadeau transfer to me signals a different mindset. I don't know if he was forced out or not, but that would be okay. That's the deal. Like, this is the era we're talking about here. This is not the same. So that would be a signal, as I said, UNC's serious. So I look forward to seeing the next chapter in Tar Heel basketball. All right, when we come back, one-timers, questions. Hey, you could have put them in the YouTube, youtube.com/Adam Gold Show or /999 The Fan. Either way, get to us.
I told them they could talk about anything, baseball, basketball, hockey. I mean, we should have some baseball one-timers.
Yes. Opening day. Next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. North Carolina needs more than 12,000 RNs and 5,000 LPNs over the next decade to meet the demands of its aging and growing population. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, we speak with NC Healthcare Association President and CEO Josh Dobson to learn more about the need and where you or someone you know might fit in.
The people who work in hospitals and healthcare facilities, they really are the backbone of our communities. They are the ones providing care. They ensure quality treatment and making a difference in patients' lives every day. That's why it's so crucial to not only celebrate their work, but also encourage the next generation to step into these roles.
You can learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Every day, people battling addiction suffer in silence. Because of stigma, they fear judgment. They fear being labeled, and too often, they don't get the help they need. But you can help change that. Join the Governor's Institute and be a superhero in the overdose battle campaign. Learn how to break the stigma, support those in need, and save lives. Visit governorsinstitute.org/superhero to get involved. Be a hero, fight stigma, save a life.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Gold. Gold.
So I was reading an article about the 10 oddest Guinness World Records, and the thing that caught my eye was most skips by a cat in 1 minute. This woman has a jump rope and is skipping with her cat. Okay, I have got a cat, and let me just tell you, the skipping alone would cause this, but swinging a jump rope anywhere near my sweet kitty Carol, she'd be gone for like 5 days.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos. It is opening day in Major League Baseball. Organ music will be played today.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
All right, next hour, we will chat basketball with Konata Edwards, Nada the Scribe. I should probably just introduce him as Konata Edwards. I mean, that's what his name is, but I call him Nada, and then whatever.
It comes with it.
It does. It just all flows.
Yeah.
Also, Doug Glanville, former big leaguer, now with ESPN.
Former Cubby.
Yes, and a very good Cubby. A Cubby, a Philly, a Ranger, and for a hot second, a Yankee.
Yes.
But always a product of Teaneck High School in New Jersey, in Bergen County, New Jersey. They were in my high school's conference as a kid, although I'm older than Doug. Anyway, we'll talk opening day baseball with him. That's next hour. Right now, Q&A time. All right, let's get to it.
Okay, so I have to bring up someone who is watching us from Germany. I don't know what their real name is, but they call themselves literally Ruben. I like Rubens, so yeah.
Why can't his name be Ruben?
I mean, maybe it is. Who knows?
Hey, Ruben, what's up?
And maybe he likes Rubens, or she. I don't know. So their question is kind of a two-parter now, so it's a hockey one. So the first part is Nikishin confirmed to join the playoffs, ? And then the follow-up to that is, if Nikishin does join for the playoffs, what are the chances we actually see him play this season?
Well, the playoffs, actually, I haven't even looked. We are 4 days into the KHL playoffs, or the regular season ended March 23rd, so I actually haven't paid much attention to the start of their playoffs. Once their playoffs are over, even though contracts don't expire until May 31st, oftentimes teams will allow their players who have NHL interests to leave. That is expected to be the case with Nikishin, though we don't know. I do think the Hurricanes want to bring him here, at the very least, to be around the team. He's going to be on it next year. So, and I think the chances of him playing in the playoffs, I don't think those are great, barring injury. But I do think that once Carolina knows exactly where they're going to be seated and that they can't impact their positioning in the playoffs at all in terms of home ice or anything like that, I think you're going to see Rod Brindamore rest a lot of players, and you will see Nikishin play, but they need to be done with their playoffs first. So, yeah, he'll be here in some capacity.
All right, next up from Justin. When do we start seeing movement in the college basketball portal?
Well, the portal's open, right? It's open for 30 days. The portal is open. I think you'll start seeing some movement pretty quickly, but I also think that there's a lot of players and teams waiting to see who else goes in, because there's a lot of teams right now that are still playing. And so those players are not in the portal. So we'll see, like, who knows how many of, Duke's, I mentioned, Duke has been going through this. Are you good enough to play here? Who knows if Darren Harris doesn't enter the transfer portal, or Caleb Foster enters? Like, those would be players of interest. So we don't know. So I think we'll start in the next week or so. We'll start seeing it.
Okay. Well, and we only have time for one more, and nobody's asking about baseball, so this one's from me.
Yes.
What's your favorite baseball snack when you go to the field?
Wow. I mean, you just can't beat a hot dog.
You can't.
I mean, look, I realize that there are a lot of very wild offerings at ballparks. The more wild, the better, right? Here's a burger on 2 waffles, whatever. Yeah, like whatever. But give me a hot dog with mustard and sauerkraut. Yeah.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the offseason, but that doesn't mean me and my co-host, WRAL TV's Chris Lee, take a break from our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as the NFL draft approaches, insight on free agents and prospects, plus all the insider info on who the Panthers want to pick at number 8. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Hello, Scott Forbes, head baseball coach, University of North Carolina. When it comes to choosing a dealership, I stick with Wilkinson, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC. Growing up in Sanford, I've been fortunate to be lifelong friends with Will Wilkinson. My family and I have been buying and having our vehicles serviced at Wilkinson for many, many years. Great service, competitive prices, and most importantly, a place you can trust. Go where I go. Go see my longtime friend Will Wilkinson at Wilkinson, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
With the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
This is what WRAL weather coverage sounds like.
Thunderstorm warning right now in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
When your safety is a priority.
An indication that there is a tornado on the ground, so get in your safe spot
in this area, get in your safe spot right now.
With the tools that make a difference.
WRAL Storm Tracker is inside the storm.
WRAL has the only dual Doppler radar in Wade County.
Hear it and see it every day.
It looks like the storm is doing exactly what we predicted to do.
That's WRAL News. Weather coverage you can count on.
Stay informed with The Rundown, the daily newsletter from High School OT that delivers the most important high school sports news and insights straight to your inbox. Brought to you by High School OT and powered by our sponsor, First Carolina Bank. Subscribe to The Rundown at highschoolot.com.
Giving your child their first phone is an important and often difficult decision. After all, it is a milestone in your child's development. The Phone Ready quiz from the American Academy of Pediatrics can help make this decision easier. Go to healthychildren.org/phone-ready-quiz to take a short questionnaire that'll help you decide if you and your child are ready, almost ready, or not yet ready for their first phone. Go to healthychildren.org/phone-ready-quiz today.
Taxes was taxing. Now taxes is relaxing when you file for free.
I can file for free? TurboTax Free Edition. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. I can file for free.
Now this is taxes. File for free with TurboTax Free Edition and get your maximum refund. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, and student loan interest. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
So the 8 teams that are playing Thursday night, 5 of them have won national championships since 1994. It's awesome. Yeah, and they've together they've accounted for nearly 1/3 of the national championships of the last 35 years. And I know Duke has 6 of them, but we're talking about Arkansas, we're talking about Florida, we're talking about the programs whose fans in their lifetime expect to win national championships, and they're all going against each other in the Sweet 16. It is a phenomenal set of basketball games that we've got here. I hope the quality of the play matches the quality of the way it looks on paper. We'll see.
Oh, I think we're going to have a great night tonight. Duke's won a bunch. What, was it 5 times since? 91, 92, 01, 10, 15. 5 national championships since 1991. And I believe this Duke team is most resembling the 2001 team. There are great differences between the two, but for my money, that 2001 team had a ruthlessness about it that when they had you, and they did not let you get out of their grasp. I talked to Jay Williams a lot. And he was the best player on that team. He might not have been the best college player on that team, but he was the NBA player on that team. And they had other NBA. Battier played a long time in the NBA. Mike Dunleavy was an NBA player. Carlos Boozer was an NBA player. And they had other good players. Chris Duhon was a dynamite college point guard. But Jay Will was that team's real badass. This Duke team has the killer instinct that reminds me of 2001. They're built a lot differently. This team is also significantly deeper than that team was. Not that Duke team didn't have depth. They did. This Duke team is deeper than that team was. Because they legit can play 10 guys. They have more than that, but they can legit use 10 guys to beat you, which makes it that much more difficult when you're playing them because let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it's not a great shooting night for Tyrese Proctor or Con Knipple or Cooper Flagg or Sion James. Ask Auburn about Isaiah Evans, who came off the bench and knocked down 6 in the first half and won the game. Caleb Foster can do that. They have so many weapons.
Yeah. Cooper Flagg's injury really helped them, I think, with their depth chart because they've learned to win and manage without Cooper Flagg.
They only missed him for 3 games.
Yeah.
And I will say this, they were only ACC games. Sorry.
True.
Right? But what it did give them was the confidence to know that when he's not on the court, because forget about an injury. Cooper Flagg could get in foul trouble again. And if he's unavailable to you for a stretch of the game, they know when they need points, they know they can get them. And while they did things slightly differently, they simply just said, hey, Con, we're going to call you Cooper for like the next 8 minutes. And they ran the offense through Con Knipple. They can do that. They have a lot of guys they can actually do that with. So I also saw yesterday where they might have Malik Brown back tonight.
Ooh, maybe.
I have mixed feelings about this because I do think that there is an absolute finite amount of action he could probably deal with.
Yeah.
So
maybe not spend it today.
To me, it should be in case of emergency, break glass. That's what it should be. We'll see. It's up to Malik Brown. And we'll leave it at that. All right, take two. We didn't have enough time to get into some of these other things. And by the way, an hour from now, we're going to take a listen to a lot of what LeBron James had to say to Pat McAfee yesterday, who spent an hour with McAfee yesterday. We're going to hear a bunch of that stuff top of the 2 o'clock hour. You asked a question in One-Timers about the transfer portal.
Yes.
Right? All right, so Tom Izzo was asked at Michigan State's press conference previewing their game in the Sweet 16, which is tomorrow. Izzo was asked, I think they play Ole Miss. Izzo was asked about it, and here, like, are you focusing? Are you looking at the portal to add whatever the question was? Here's Tom Izzo on the portal.
But what my team's done has been incredible, and I'm not ready to move on. So, Judd, I've followed what you said. You know, I'm going to worry today about the guys I got in this program that have done an incredible job this year, and that's it. And if that costs me later, so be it. But Tom Izzo isn't cheating the people that he has that have been loyal to him for this chaos that is going on out there. When I came back Sunday night, that was it. There was nothing on my mind but giving these guys a chance to win one more game, get to Elite Eight, and one more game, and have a memory that'll last their entire life, their kids' life, and their grandkids' life. Because that's what it is.
All right, question. Can two things be true at the same time? Can we give these kids the memory that they deserve so their grandkids can have this memory passed down 2 generations for them, and hopefully they'll have better memories than Grandpa telling them about the Final Four or whatever it is? Can two things be true at the same time? The answer is yeah. But you know who this was great for? Oh, man, all these people who make their living covering college basketball, like, yeah, you tell them, Tom. What a crock of... Whoops. Very close.
I'm ready with the dump button just in case.
This is why you hire a GM.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. None. Zero idea. But would anybody be surprised if, you know, like Rachel Baker, who's the GM at Duke? Would anybody be surprised if Rachel Baker is already thinking about who might enhance Duke's roster for next year? I don't know, but my guess is probably. That's not disrespectful to these players, but man, that is red meat for the college basketball media that hates progress. Gosh, how annoying can we possibly be? I love Dick Vitale. Want to hear Dick Vitale on the portal. He's probably right about what he's about to say, but here's Dick Vitale on the portal opening during the tournament.
It's all Chalk City, and it's all due, you know why, the NIL, man, the schools that are paying big-time cash. It's all about that, and we got chaos going on. I'll share this with you, Pat, and you and your guys. They just opened up the transfer portal, which I think is a joke. I think it's absurd to have the transfer portal during the heart of March Madness. I think that's crazy. It's ludicrous. You ready for this? Only one day, about 1,000 kids are in the portal. 1,000. It is total wacky what's going on. Because the question is, right away, the question is very simple. When the kids talk to some coach about transfer, What about my cash, man? How much am I getting?
Yeah.
Did you ever think you'd see this path going on? It's a better free agency than the pros have, because in this case, you're free. At least in the pros, you got a contract.
Ah! Wait a sec. What? Wait. What if we had contracts? What if the players could form a collective group and could have a system in place where we knew the player was going to be at a certain place for a couple of years, and the teams would be able to know that this player will be here, playing here for a couple. What if we did that? It is silly that the transfer portal opens during the NCAA tournament. It's dumb. But you know who voted for that? The coaches voted for that. But by all means, we should complain about something the coaches wanted. Am I nuts? I don't think I'm nuts.
No, they like to make you think you're nuts.
I don't think I'm nuts. Man. Gosh. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. And when we return, Konata Edwards, CBSSports.com, works with Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander on the Ion College Basketball Podcast. We'll talk a little bit about, get his thoughts on Elliot Cadeau's entrance into the transfer portal and the Sweet 16, which starts tonight. Is Arizona the team that is going to end Duke's run? Next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
We're in the middle of the madness.
Corner three by Murray. It's good! Timeout, Clemson!
From the first four to the national championship.
Blocked by Shoemate and stolen away by McGeese.
All the hoops action will be heard here.
McGeese with the upset. Let the March Madness begin.
The road to San Antonio is driven by Bailey's Fine Jewelry, Fairway Green, and First Horizon Bank. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
What would you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
For nearly 140 years, the Salvation Army of Wake County has been serving our community, providing shelter, clothing, food, and emergency disaster services to those in need. Now the Army needs our help. With an increase in demand for services, they need help restocking their food pantry. Items needed include canned goods, pasta, and rice. Your generosity can make a big difference for a struggling family. Help the Army, help others. Donations can be dropped off at the Salvation Army Center of Hope at 1863 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh.
See if you're a winner every night.
Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news.
So, you found the one and want to get married? Next step, you need the ring. And not just any ring. The perfect engagement sparkle that exemplifies your love. Bailey's Fine Jewelry is here to help. Our diamond experts, wide selection of high-quality diamonds, and financing make saying I do easy. We guarantee you'll love the ring or your money back. You're invited to see why Bailey's has been voted best place to buy your diamonds. Visit us today in-store or at baileybox.com to find out more.
Time is running out, folks. I need you to go to caniacsbike.com. Dennis Cox here for the Law Tigers. The Carolina Hurricanes, the Law Tigers, Tobacco Road, Harley-Davidson, and Shiny Side Paint are all teaming up once again to give one lucky fan a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Simple to enter. Go to caniacsbike.com. Sign-ups last until April 6th. The bike will be given away on the final home game of the season, caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Gold. Gold.
Some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. Again, I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with, like that person that you tried to, and then you see them 10 years later and you're like, ooh, dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
That is very old school. That is incredibly old school. Happy opening day, everybody.
It's great. I love baseball.
Yep. It starts today. As a matter of fact, let me get my Major League Baseball scoreboard up. It's sad that we don't start till 3. We should have already had first pitch. Cincinnati should have already thrown first pitch at 12:30. Where the Reds are home to the Giants. What are we doing, MLB?
I know. We could have had more distractions during the show.
Exactly. I've got Sports Centers on everywhere here. We should have had the Giants and the Reds already playing. Should have been a 12:30 first pitch there. We should have had games at 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. But no, we're waiting until 3 for whatever reason. We're getting there. Mm-hmm. We're getting there, Major League Baseball. We're close. Once we get a commissioner who loves baseball, we don't have one yet.
We should be the commissioner.
Yes.
Joint.
It should be a rule.
Mm-hmm.
Should be a rule. I had this conversation very quickly. Had this conversation with a good friend of mine about Gary Bettman as the commissioner of the NHL. I asked him, what do you feel about Gary Bettman? And he sent me a long text about why he thinks Bettman's a good commissioner. I said, I think he's the best commissioner. I think he is historically great at his job. Hockey fans disagree because I think the knee-jerk reaction is we must hate him. But hockey where it was, hockey where it is, Gary Bettman is the most important person, not to mention all these great players that have come along, but Gary has allowed that to happen. All right, my friend Konata Edwards, CBSSports.com, works on the Eye on College Basketball podcast with Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander, and he is my friend too. Not a the Scribe on Twitter. Sir, before we get into the Sweet 16, and you can tell me whether or not Caleb Love is going to do it again to Duke. We'll get to that in a minute. Your thoughts on Elliot Cadeau in the transfer portal and what it says about UNC basketball.
It says that Hubert Davis is able to have just a hard conversation with a guy that clearly didn't fit. And you could make the case that despite what he did the previous year, this conversation should have happened a year ago. We saw in Elliot Cadeau a point guard that jump shot came and went, was defensively the focus, basically the focus of every offense was to, okay, this kid is too small, and I hope that Elliot Cadeau can go somewhere and thrive. I just have questions. I know me and you have talked about this privately before, but I do have questions on whether Elliot Cadeau is really a high-level college point guard at this point.
All right, so here's what I said, and I think the first part of your response, you and I are in agreement. I think it just says that UNC basketball is now taking it seriously, and because to me,
I can't go that far.
Well,
yet.
I mean,
I can't go that far yet.
Okay, all right, but I'm maybe just with this particular conversation, because in years past, it would have been like an affront to UNC basketball for a player, a 2-year starter, somebody who was instrumental in their success over these 2 years, whatever success they had this year, that for him to leave would have been seen as a weakness for the program. Oh my gosh, how do you let a starter go? But I think it says that they're looking at their roster and taking this process seriously, and that Cadeau wasn't right for this particular team. I do think that Cadeau could have worked had the rest of the team been better. They certainly could have gotten more out of Cadeau this year and even last year, although last year's roster was pretty good. He was just a freshman. But he wasn't markedly better this year. Maybe he wasn't any better this year than he was last year. But I think that's largely due to the fact that the roster wasn't any good.
Well, the roster wasn't. The roster was misshapen, and as we've talked about before, Hubert the GM screwed Hubert the coach. I think we have to start there when it comes to the roster, and that's why Jim Tanner's there. And it's essentially to streamline this process to where we can make sure that the best, in theory, that the best possible roster was there. I think that I do believe that Hubert and them are taking this serious, and so far, so much so that I'm calling 2025 Operation Hubert's Last Stand, because we all know what's going to happen if they disappoint and it's not a Sweet 16 or an Elite Eight run, or dare I say they miss the NCAA tournament again. But at the same point, like, I do think that a lot of what's coming right now and a lot of what North Carolina needs to do is taking a very hard look. Now, granted, I do believe that the best part about this is the introspection and Hubert realizing I can't stick with my guy. I was wrong here. I hope that this conversation extends to a few other people, because were it me, the only two Tar Heels that were playing this year that I would bring back are Ian Jackson and Drake Powell. Those are the only two. Everyone else could go find themselves in the portal, and I would go find 10 other guys right quick.
Yeah, I said earlier in the show that they looks like they need to bring in 7 or 8 new players. Maybe I was underselling how many new players. And I don't know if you and I agree on this part or not. I've been saying this all year long. To me, the foundation for your program must be in recruiting out of high school, supplementing the portal. It's going to be different this year for UNC, just like it's going to be different for Will Wade. It's going to be a lot of portal guys in year one, but it has to be high school recruiting. That has to be your foundation. And maybe you get some guys that stick around longer than they were anticipating. Duke got 3 years out of Tyrese Proctor, 2 years and maybe more out of Caleb Foster. Certainly started playing well. He looks like he's emotionally invested. I don't know if that'll change, in 2 or 3 weeks. It likely will, but it might not. But you have to be able to have high school recruiting be the basis for your team.
Absolutely. I think the Duke model is the model that North Carolina, and to an extent, NC State should follow. You are a established program with sneaker ties and sneaker money, and you can locally you can bring in a lot of dollars as well. You should be able to go get those 4 stars, 5 stars, because everybody, look, the Rick Pitino's of the world, the Richard Pitino's of the world, they're all going to go get those transfer portal guys. The only way you're ever going to build something sustainable is if you have guys that are there from the ground up. Again, you bring up Tyrese Proctor. Isaiah Evans is another example of this, where you might actually get another year of him out of this, because if you're noticing, the fringe second-round picks aren't even entertaining going to the draft or doing any of the combine stuff. They're coming back because they know they're getting paid.
Yep.
So now it's become a thing where NIL has established this basis of, hey, maybe maybe it's a better idea to not ply your wares in the G League for another year. Why don't you just come back to school? There are more eyeballs, and you basically end up giving yourself a shot at the first round. So I do think establishing yourself with these high school guys, like you said, the Duke model is a very sustainable model to build a program on, and it's something that North Carolina and NC State should emulate.
Yeah, that's another thing I've been talking about for a while. People didn't even realize this. If we allow the athletes in college to get paid, then it stands to reason they might stick around longer. Amazing, isn't it? How much money did Armando Bacot make? He's a business man. Made tons of money. I used I don't know, I'm drawing a blank. Marcus Page. I used Marcus Page as he would have been the poster child for why these kids should get paid. His value as an athlete was never higher than when he was at UNC. All right, Konata Edwards, not a the scribe on Twitter, Eye on College Basketball Podcast on CBS Sports. Is Caleb Love and Arizona the team that is going to derail the Duke wagon?
No. I think Arizona can defend. I think Arizona is going to give them a little bit more trouble than people think. But the team that's most likely to derail the Duke wagon right now is in San Antonio. And they're going to have to go
Spurs?
through potentially – Well, maybe. Well, not this current Spurs. Like, again, De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama are hurt. So I would put it Duke -1.5.
Oh, wow.
Even now. So, but at this point, I think it's either got to be Houston or it's going to be whoever, if they see Auburn or Florida. Like, I think I don't think they're going to see anyone in Newark that's really going to give them any trouble. Now, granted, these are famous last words, and Caleb Love could etch himself to where he gets his number retired in 2 places. Because I would argue if he does anything like 30 points and knocks off Duke and ends the college career of Cooper Flagg on top of Coach K and Paolo Banchero, look, Arizona should retire his number, and so should Carolina at that point. But I don't think Duke is going to see anyone that's really going to give them any trouble until they see Houston or they see Florida. And unfortunately, I think it's just because the way they do everything, and they are a defense-first team, people seem to forget about that point. This is one of the best defensive teams in the nation. And again, their Ken Pom metrics, especially their net metrics, are similar to last year's UConn team. If you just look at that alone, you don't think they're going to get any trouble up until it's time until they get to the Riverwalk.
Yeah, it's funny. I couldn't listen to it, but I was at ESPN on yesterday, and Jay Williams and Richard Jefferson were going back and forth on the screen because they squared off in the 2001 national championship game, which Duke won by like 10 or something. And this Duke team's mindset reminds me of that Duke's team's mindset, in that they were not here to play games. They were here to do a job, and they took no prisoners while doing it. They were ruthless. I think this Duke team is ruthless. I understand that they let Carolina up off the mat in the game in the ACC semifinal that Friday night.
That was without their leader, though. That was without the head of the snake.
It was without
the most ruthless amongst most of all of them. He is the most ruthless amongst all of them. That would have been a 35-point blowout in Charlotte if Cooper plays.
You're probably right. I shouldn't even say probably. I should just say you're right. Especially with his parents in the crowd, because they are also take no prisoners. I find them entertaining.
Who doesn't? I found that entire saga completely entertaining, even though it was just typical. It was typical. It was on brand for Duke. I will put it that way.
All right, Alabama BYU tonight. Who do you like?
If Alabama loses, I I just love the way Kevin Young and BYU do things, and I think Richie Saunders is a very, very dangerous, and I think Yegor Demon is on a mission to prove that he's a lottery pick. I think Alabama has shown me way too many warts for me to ever trust them. I think it's BYU tonight.
I like BYU tonight, and plus defense optional, right?
Yeah, on both sides.
Yeah,
on both sides.
We're just going to see. We're going to see a lot of points. The total, I couldn't believe. I looked at the totals on my FanDuel app, and I'm like, really? 175.5. I'm going to watch this game.
Take the over. Take the over. Take the over.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Florida, Maryland. Will Derek Queen be allowed to travel?
I love Derek Queen. I think
do
he's
too.
a top 7 pick in this draft.
I do too. And it was a travel, but I don't care.
Exactly. Again, if it was a travel, they should have called it. I think Florida's a wagon. Florida's the other wagon in this tournament. I think they're going to end up seeing Duke in the finals in San Antonio. So I love Derek Queen. I love the Crab Five. Julian Reese is a monster rebounder, just like his sister. And I think it's going to be a close game. But I think we got our one close game out when UConn scared the life out of them.
Yeah.
So I do think that was the one chance to knock off Florida before San Antonio. And UConn missed. I don't think we're going to – again, the only other time we see them miss is in San Antonio, basically.
Yeah, I thought UConn kind of let them off the hook, in my opinion. I mentioned the sequence yesterday on the show, and we were talking about it. I think they had a 5-point lead and the ball after a live ball turnover, and they passed up a layup. Maybe it wasn't an uncontested layup, but I think at the very least you go to the foul line. Passed up a layup to give the ball. I think it was to Bell in the corner for a 3. And he kind of fumbled the ball out of bounds, and that was it.
Fumbled the ball out of bounds, and then they couldn't secure a rebound on a free throw.
Right.
And that was it, essentially.
That was Florida. Florida's lifeline was given right there, and that was that. Kentucky, Tennessee. Mark Pope's done a very good job with this crew. I don't think Tennessee – I thought Tennessee could have easily been a 1 seed. You couldn't make everybody a 1 seed, obviously. I like Tennessee here, but there's something about this Kentucky team that's different.
Kentucky is a make-or-miss. Again, unfortunately, as we know, it's a make-or-miss game with basketball. If you tell me Kentucky's hitting 40%, like 35, 38, 40% from 3, I'm telling you they win. If not, this feels like a Chaz Lanier game where Chaz Lanier goes for 30, 32, and it's a very ugly game, and Tennessee ends up winning that. I do think that this is probably, outside of BYU, Alabama, the most compelling game of the night.
Oh, it should be a blast. All right, final thing for you, Konata Edwards. Give me Juan Soto's line. Batting average, home runs batted in this year.
322, 40, 160.
160?
Yes.
Oh, my God. You realize we're still the Mets, right?
Yes, I do. But I also I'm understanding this with the fact that I know that you're either pitching to Lindor or you're pitching to Soto.
Okay.
And Alonso's still there. So
okay, I've got 290.
41.
290,
really?
290, 43, 125. That'd be pretty good for year 1 in New York, even for Juan Soto, but I appreciate your level of optimism, sir.
I think Juan Soto is the second best player in baseball right now, right behind Ohtani. It's Ohtani, and then there's a gap, and then there's Juan Soto.
Yeah, there is a gap.
There's a gap. There's a gap. We have to appreciate the gap, but there's, again, having the second best play, having 2 top 7 players in baseball.
Yeah, pretty good.
Is a very good thing, especially for the Mets.
Yeah, I wish one of them could pitch, but that's not the way it works. Not a the Scribe on Twitter, Konata Edwards, CBS Sports. Thank you very much, my man.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Gosh, so much fun. But the fun is going to get better because today should be a national holiday. It is opening day, a day that I have long said should be a national holiday. We should not make kids go to school on Major League Baseball's opening day. I ain't lying. I never went to school on opening day, ever. Actually, when the Mets opened up on the road, I would somehow get sick around 1 o'clock and have to go home and catch the Mets on the road. Doug Glanville, who's doing the Dodgers and Tigers tonight on ESPN Radio, is joining us. The Substack is called Welcome to Glanville. Sir, opening day, happy holiday.
Yeah, exactly. Happy holiday.
I have so many things I want to ask you, but because I basically led into my upbringing as a kid. I mean, I went to Shea Stadium for every Mets home opener that I could remember, even going home from college. The first couple of years I was at the University of Maryland in the mid-'80s to go to the home opener. So if the Mets opened at home, I was there. If they opened on the road, I went home from school and watched the game on Channel 9 in New York. What was it like for you as a kid? We grew up in a very similar area. What was it like for you as a kid on opening day? Because I'm a little bit older than you, so what was it like?
It's interesting because I thought about this when I've been covering the game for so long and playing before that. I don't know if I had ever been to an opening day. I hadn't been to an All-Star game. I hadn't been to a World Series game up until, and actually my first All-Star game was covering it at ESPN like 4 years ago. So,
you should have been an All-Star in '99, Doug.
Yeah, that was my shot, man. Just not enough home runs. But yeah, New Jersey, we had the Mets and the Yankees, and I watched baseball all the time. And I think the other thing, my brother's, probably out there listening, Ken and Raleigh, and we talked about it all the time, just play-by-play, going over that special day. But the fact is, before that was Stratomatic baseball. Yeah. And the sets used to come from the year before, like in the winter or whatever, like January. So in some ways, I was already warming up to opening day for like a few months of Stratomatic. And so I just loved it. And so we had our own little rolling of the dice for the opening day. But, game of the week, this week in baseball, there's so many properties around the game that were recurring in our life that we watched, Bob Costas and the voices. And so I still have that feeling, and it's just a great honor to be part of it. So I can, be on radio today with Dodgers Tigers, but I never forget those feelings.
See, TWIB this week in baseball, for those people who are younger than me, that was really my introduction to Mel Allen. I never listened to Mel Allen do Yankees games, but because he was already done by the time I became, a real baseball fan when I was like 5. I was listening to I was listening to Mets games more than Yankees games. So I was Lindsey Nelson, Bob Murphy, Ralph Kiner. But the Yankees were Rizzuto and Messer and Bill White. I didn't know Bill White was a great first baseman. I knew him as a Yankee broadcaster. So that was my Mel Allen was This Week in Baseball, which was every Saturday morning. Would watch that, or whenever it might have been on at noon, but every weekend I was a regular watcher of that. Have we lost some of Major League Baseball's opening day luster? And I know we have a lot of day games today, and I'm glad for that. I'm glad we're also moving it to the lead into a weekend rather than a Tuesday, Wednesday, which was always bizarre to me. I went because I missed school, but we moved a lot of these openers to night games. Did we lose a lot of luster when we did that?
Well, you definitely feel that feeling of waking up. There's something about waking up and the game is right there. I think that is a difference maker, whether you're weighing like, should I go to school or whatever it is. But I do like the fact that it was a little early, but the games that were in Japan kind of gave me that feeling. It was nice to wake up to baseball and just kind of have that feeling like, oh yeah, there's something about the day game component to it, just the spring feeling. And I know there's a lot of competition out there and things to watch, and it's social media, and there's so many things. But I do think that because baseball has now got such an international appeal in Japan, and you see what these great players, Ohtani and Yamamoto, and just them winning the championship, it's a whole another world opening up to baseball that's going to give it a different feeling. And, how that will weave into sort of our day-to-day culture here in sort of, in the U.S. and and many of the markets that have been there before is going to be really interesting.
Doug Glanville is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. It is opening day. He'll have the Tigers and the Dodgers at Chavez Ravine, 7 o'clock on ESPN Radio. I know it's a big Sweet 16 day, obviously, but, man, I'm going to be locked in a lot to the big leagues today. Do you think the game today is the game itself, do you like the game today?
I do. I still love baseball, and I still have a lot of the same feelings I had, growing up. I see it, just covering it, just talking to the players. I mean, that's the different feeling that I have, because being able to have this access to the players all the time, and you just talk about what they care about, and, following the Mets around like all last year for like the last month of the season. I mean, and Carlos Mendoza saying, I need to get you a locker,
Yes, we should have made that happen 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and I went to a tryout at Shea Stadium when I was 15 or so. My brother snuck me in, and so I have great memories. And I think that getting that feeling from the players, I feel like it is in good shape. There's a lot of young players that are out there. They are talented, and they're relatable in many ways. But the challenge, maybe it's just sort of how it's delivered to us, and we're all trying to figure it out in baseball. All the streaming and the different options. That's probably the big challenge that baseball has, to figure out how it's going to reach us. And so I'm trying to capture some of those elements you mentioned, like This Week in Baseball. It's like these shows that give you perspective and the slowness of the game, just to kind of step back and review the week, and then open up the game in terms of the teams all over the place, all over the country and world. That's something I love to see more of as well, just to be able to kind of do the slow game, like the written word, the other elements that sort of bring the patience to the game back. But I still love it. I still enjoy it, and a lot of the rules that they changed, given the way the cultural shifts were happening with all the data and analytics, to be so risk averse. I think they've brought it, some of those things back in a good way.
Yeah, but, you stole 30 bases when they didn't make it easy for you to steal 30 bases. You went in that 99 season, you went more than 30 stolen bases. You were only caught twice. Now, if you get caught stealing, that's pretty much a you problem at this point. They have made the rules to where it's like, if you're a base stealer, they want you to steal bases, which to me is still one of my all-time favorite thing. Between a triple and a stolen base, I mean, if I have a lot of those in a game, I am absolutely all in. Doug Glanville is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. We just had the Four Nations face-off in hockey a couple of months ago, and I know your brother's a big Canes fan, and he and I have texted back and forth about what we saw. It's funny, hockey just experienced high-stakes nationalism in their sport, which basically took the place of the All-Star game. And baseball's got that. The World Baseball Classic, the last iteration of it, was so eye-opening in how exciting it was. You're talking about, with all the different options and streaming and things like that. That event done right could take baseball to another level, no?
Absolutely. And I think World Baseball Classic we still talk about Ohtani striking out Mike Trout in the World Baseball Classic. There's something to it. And, because if you're going to continue to call it the World Series, you're going to have to engage the world. And there's so much great talent. I mean, the Dodgers, between the last few years, getting Ohtani, getting Yamamoto, and now Sasaki. This is serious. I mean, their rotation may be 3 out of 5 pitchers from Japan.
Yep.
And I remember when Hideo Nomo came on the scene, and I remember the Nomo mania, and just how powerful that was. And it was uncertain back then. They weren't sure how he was going to perform. There was trepidation in Japan about if he doesn't succeed, what that will mean. And he did. He ended up being an all-star, just a great pitcher. So there's no question embracing that larger world footprint is key. The ratings in Japan were just through the roof for these games, and just Latin America and all the other places that players hail from, there's so many opportunities available.
It was electric. It was World Cup soccer meets Major League Baseball. It was that passion combined with, I know you and I are biased here, the greatest sport on earth, the one that combines absolutely every single element of athleticism. You don't have to be a super high-twitch athlete to play it. Certainly doesn't hurt. Guys like Mookie Betts or Juan Soto. But it's hand-eye coordination personified. Before we have just a couple of more minutes left with Doug Glanville here. We haven't even talked about the game. The Dodgers right now, I haven't seen the actual number. They're the shortest odds in terms of a favorite to win the World Series that we have seen in like 50 years. Because the Dodgers are loaded, and you just mentioned the rotation. We don't even know when Shohei Ohtani is going to resume pitching. Missed all of last season after having the elbow surgery. Other than the fact that you mentioned those guys, what makes the Dodgers so good?
Well, their leadership. You can start there. Andrew Friedman came out of Tampa, understood how to run a team without a lot of resources, and now he has resources. He puts the money back into the team. And he's got high-stakes superstars that are just good for the game. They're good people. They're generous. They care about everybody. It's diverse. That is such a great example. And they're willing to spend the money. When they had all these injuries, and they still do, and they're pitching, they go get Jack Flaherty. They get an ace off of Detroit at the trade deadline. Yeah. And Detroit, had a great run. But the Dodgers are just unafraid to just reinvest and make those moves. So that's what you have with the Dodgers. And you combine that with the fact that they have a phenomenal minor league system now.
Yeah.
So they're just in it for a long time. They're built to not only win now, but they're also built to win in the future. And I think we're right on the cusp of seeing, a dynasty again right here with this Dodger team. And it's hard to, win every year. So I'm not saying they're going to win 7 in a row, but I see them just being good for a long time every year.
Dynasties are great for sports. I don't know if the Dodgers are going to be a dynasty or not. It's hard to win. I mean, they'll make the playoffs. They'll be good, but it's hard to win. It just is. It is very, very, especially as they put more and more playoff series in everybody's way. It's just hard to win. But the Dodgers are built to last. All right, when we come back, we will stretch and we will place bets. We will have a mix of Sweet 16 and Major League Baseball opening day plays for you, maybe plays to avoid. Next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And guess what? Baseball is here. That's right. Baseball starts this weekend, and FanDuel is giving all customers the chance to take a swing at $500,000 in bonus bets every day from March 27th through the 30th. That's Thursday through Sunday. It's all part of the $500,000 daily home run jackpot. Just use your jackpot profit boost on a player to homer, Shohei Ohtani. $500,000. That's right. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Must apply profit boost token on select market. Prize pool to be split equally among all eligible participants who made the correct pick. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Do you know someone who's lost a loved one to overdose? Every day, the disease of addiction is taking lives and devastating families. But this crisis is preventable. Join the Governor's Institute in the Be a Superhero in the Overdose Battle campaign. Together, we can spread awareness, fight stigma, and save lives. Learn the signs of overdose. Know how to help. Visit governorsinstitute.org/superhero today, because doing nothing shouldn't be an option. Be a hero. Take action. Save a life.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. North Carolina needs more than 12,000 RNs and 5,000 LPNs over the next decade to meet the demands of its aging and growing population. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, we speak with NC Healthcare Association President and CEO Josh Dobson to learn more about the need and where you or someone you know might fit in.
The people who work in hospitals and healthcare facilities, they really are the backbone of our communities. They are the ones providing care. They ensure quality treatment and making a difference in patients' lives every day. That's why it's so crucial to not only celebrate their work, but also encourage the next generation to step into these roles.
You can learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Gold. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. But yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
How you turn this into a anything you play at a ballpark is
I know.
just incredible to me, but that's fine. I have been up on a chair before. People know what I'm talking about who understand the song. All right, we got lots to do here. We have to place bets, but first we need to limber up.
Yeah, we do. More baseball sounds. Well, since it is MLB opening day, for those who have not been listening and paying attention, there also have been a lot of questions on Google about opening day and just baseball in general. And so there's a few questions that people have been asking, and I thought, you know what? Maybe some of our listeners are curious about this too, which they also posted a map of the top ballpark foods for each state.
Right.
So you can go check that out. They have not put that in this article, but some questions in case you were wondering, what does PO mean? Put out. If you record an out by catching a ball, tagging a runner, or stepping on a base, it's a put out. Also, how much do minor league players make? They say around 20 to 36
Yeah,
20 to 36 per year.
That has been a point of contention between Major League Baseball and the players. Yeah.
Yes.
Not good.
Yes, and it used to be less, but they
Not
got
a living wage.
They got a quote raise
back in 2023.
They did get a raise.
Next up, how heavy is a ball? It says it varies because the rules say the ball can't weigh less than 5 ounces or more than 5 1/4 ounces. So somewhere in there.
Right.
Also.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. No, Deflategate. What does OPS mean? On base plus slugging.
Yes.
It combines your on base percentage with your slugging percentage. Basically, how many extra base hits you get. Big in the fantasy football world. And how long do baseball games last? Well, not as long as they used to last, thanks to the pitch clock.
That's the correct answer.
So now they're running about 2 hours and 36 minutes. When
Yes.
It used to be 3 hours and 10 minutes. So it's about 34 extra minutes you get of your day, and you still get baseball. So who knows? Maybe we'll have a baseball bet.
Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, let's get right to it. We're going to place bets right now. I'm excited. It's opening day.
I know.
Victoria, you're up.
I know. I'm going to have to find a baseball one. But first up, Duke is playing against Arizona. Give me our Blue Devils to win. Go ACC. And you know what? I don't know. I'll take the over 154.5. That together is plus 130.
Did you say our Blue Devils?
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
our ACC, we're
get
we got to,
Totally get it.
They're
I'm
down
starting
the
in
road.
baseball.
Your mother-in-law loves Duke, so
She
we got to
does.
stick up
She
for
does.
them.
My father-in-law loves Carolina. They love each other. Juan Soto. Anytime home run, baby. Plus 475. I feel like that is a gift to me.
Right? Well, there you go.
I feel like that's my gift.
That's always important.
Yeah.
My Cubbies are not playing today because they've already been doing it. But I know we got a lot of Braves fans. They're playing Padres. Give me the Braves to win, and we will go over 6.5. That's plus 195.
All right. I'm going to give you 2 upset winners today. Arkansas upsets Texas Tech. They are plus 200 on the money line. And BYU is plus 190 to beat Alabama in that Sweet 16 matchup. And just playing lines, I think Florida and Duke are both going to win. But give me Florida to cover the 6 against Maryland and Arizona to cover the 9.5 against Duke. But I think Duke will win.
From the heels
Touchdown, Carolina.
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hi, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller. Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. Gordon has given me a lot of great advice over time. One, if you're going to order the soup of the day, order it before midnight because the soup of the day could change. Gordon will understand what I'm talking about. That's great advice, though. Also, don't pay closing costs when you get a mortgage, because if you pay closing costs, you are limiting your options, if you will. Well, you always have the option. If you want to throw the money away that you just paid in closing costs, you can always go refinance free of charge and lower your monthly payment by paying fees again. But that sort of defeats the purpose, because closing costs are real money, thousands of dollars. And I have had 11 different mortgages with Miller Lending, have never paid a dime in closing costs. None of it's ever rolled into the loan amount. There's no hidden tricks, no fees. You just save thousands of dollars and lower your monthly payment. So never, ever, ever pay closing costs. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary since 1996. An equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
Do you ever go to the Carolina Hurricanes games and find yourself thinking, what do the players eat before the game? What are their pregame rituals? What kind of music gets them pumped up ahead of the game? How sacred is the game day nap? What's the postgame mood on the team plane? Check out my new podcast, Iced Tea, with me, Megan LaMontagne. I get to talk to people who spill the tea on the Carolina Hurricanes. Listen to Iced Tea in any podcast app or watch the show on the Fan YouTube channel.
You know that feeling? That confident, swaggerific feeling that says, look at me, world, I know stuff. Own that feeling with PlaySmart, a fun new go-to resource from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With PlaySmart, get to know the odds, learn tips, set limits and budgets, and make the most of your play. Awesome feeling, right? Right. Play smart, the way smart players play. Visit ncplaysmart.com Must be 18 to play. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
With the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Progressive knows when you own a boat or RV, it's like you're automatically on vacation, even if you're actually a marriage counselor in the middle of couples therapy. But in your mind, you're camping in Acadia, puttering around Frenchman Bay. Your boat and RV are both protected. You're lobster drenched in butter and... Uh-oh. Did your clients just notice you weren't listening? Quick, do the thing where you just repeat back exactly what they said, but as a question. They bought it. Now back to Maine, earning an automatic discount bundling your boat or RV with your home or auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I want to help build stuff around the university and help other departments in the university and you know be a good team member, and that wasn't always how you would describe Will Wade, and so you know I have I've spent a lot of time on that, and you know when you get, as Boo said, you climb up that ladder pretty quick. Well, they take those legs out on that ladder real quick too. When you get knocked off that thing, you got to have some hard conversations with yourself, and I think that allows you to change and allows you to move forward and be better.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's here, as always. I mentioned after the press conference on Tuesday that I thought it showed me a lot that Wade was the first person to bring up what landed him at McNeese State, and that was being fired at Florida for breaking NCAA rules. And I do think that there is an element of growth that everybody can go through when they have been publicly humiliated. And I don't think there's any question that when you get fired for cause like he was, that it is a hit to your ego. And the smart people, it's not about changing. The smart people recognize where maybe they haven't been as honorable as they could be. And I credit Will Wade for, A, bringing it up, and we'd have to take him on his word for this because we don't really know at this point, but making whatever changes he felt necessary to be the kind of coach and the kind of person that he wants to be. So, again, I mentioned it at the time. That, to me, jumped out as very noticeable. Nobody else had to bring up what had happened, and the fact that he was fired for cause, and the fact that NC State had to show why it was okay, why they were going to hire Will Wade. That's what the show cause does. In order to hire somebody who has a show cause, you have to say, these are the reasons why, this is what this person has done to change whatever behavior. And we know this about Will Wade. Dude can coach basketball. So looking forward to the Will Wade era starting at NC State. Well, it's already started. They haven't played any games yet, but the era has already started. We are going to kind of go through LeBron James and he did an interview with Pat McAfee yesterday. And this will be our wall of sound. We'll throw the wall of sound.
The wall of sound is a function
of
this studio. There's no doubt about
it. Whatever that is. Play that. All right. Now, I'd seen this on social media, but I did not know what it was in context to. And the context is there is some sort of a sentiment out there that today's players couldn't play in the rough and tumble 70s/80s era. All right. I think it's kind of crazy also, but here's LeBron James.
The whole every single day that he's better, he's not better, he wouldn't. You trying to tell me Giannis wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the 70s?
Handshake. He wouldn't be able to do it.
Neither
would you. Neither would you.
Giannis Antetokounmpo would have 250 points in a game in the 70s. 250.
Is that Kuzi? When was Kuzi playing?
Kuzi's
50. Dude, Kuzi's locking up Giannis, brother.
He's saying 70s, not 50s.
And that's no disrespect. It's no disrespect. But, seriously, Kyrie Irving.
They would have called him a witch. They would have called him a witch.
No. They would have told Kyrie, you're not. You know how they used to tell Lou Alcindor at the time that he couldn't dunk in high school games? Yeah. They would have told Kyrie, you're not allowed to dribble anymore. Mm-hmm. That's what they would have told him.
Here's what is giving a lot of people a lot of anxiety today. LeBron James and his relationship with Michael Jordan.
You and Michael at a good spot.
Who, me and Michael?
Jordan?
Yeah, we're in a good spot. We don't talk.
Why not, you think?
Because I'm still playing. I think I'm still playing. I'm still focused on my craft right now.
When you're done, you think you two will be the only two that can have a conversation?
I would hope so. I think it's because I'm still playing, and MJ's, we all know MJ. Even if you don't know him personally, he's one of the most ruthless competitors there is. And till I'm done, and he doesn't have to look at me run up and down wearing the number 23, and every time my name is mentioned with his, he's like, I don't want to talk to you.
All right, let me get this one here. LeBron James, because he just brought up Jordan, being the face of the NBA, not that long, it's kind of long, maybe 10 years or so, after Jordan retired.
I never had that notion and never woke up after I brushed my teeth, this is my league. I'm the face of the league. But I did know there was a responsibility put on me to carry the league in a certain fashion. And you gotta think that before I entered the league and right after MJ retired, there was a big fan player separation with our league. They just wasn't resonating with a lot of the players, or a lot of guys was didn't really care. And I felt like I had an opportunity to not only play the game that I love, but also I wanted fans to follow me. I wanted people to follow my journey. And what came out of that was me kind of being, I guess people say, the face of the league.
Yeah. He was the face of the league pretty quickly. He's still the face of the NBA. And he's still one of the best, 10, 12, 15 players in the league at age 40. It's nuts that he is still this good at this age. Absolutely unbelievable. I've said this so many times about, this is not necessarily about LeBron, it is about LeBron, that for the last 20 years, and I think this is his 22nd season, he was in the 2003 draft. For the last 20 years, the NBA has been unbelievably blessed to have had LeBron and his very respectable off-the-field life. This is beyond what he does on the court. Have him as their de facto spokesman. LeBron James as the signature NBA player today. This is no disrespect to Jordan. Jordan didn't do anything wrong, didn't do anything illegal. Gambling on a golf course, normal. Anybody that plays golf does it. Going to casinos, normal, legal. I mean, he did probably break the law with gambling on the golf course based on the amount of money that was involved. But Jordan off the court wasn't the ideal, face of the league. LeBron is. As far as we can know anybody, LeBron is. The NBA has been absolutely blessed. All right, this is my favorite thing, and this is when we know that we have completely jumped the shark. LeBron James apparently has an issue with Stephen A. Smith and other people who cover the game. Well, let's listen to this, and then I will explain what I mean.
Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job, to criticize or to, be in a position where, okay, if a guy's not performing, that is all part of the game. That's all part of the game. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. And I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna be smiling from ear to ear when he hears me talking about him again. Oh my God, he's gonna get home and grab some ice cream out of the freezer and sit in his chair in his tighty whities on the couch.
As you would expect, Stephen A. Smith put out about a 3-minute. He didn't put it out. He just did it on First Take. About a 3-minute response to LeBron James. It's just LeBron's not wrong. Stephen A. has a job to do. He's a carnival barker. And I respect that. I respect how good he is at what he does. And I've had Stephen A. in studio before. He's a nice enough guy. I mean, I have nothing against Stephen A. But this ain't about the NBA. Ain't about Stephen A. But Stephen A. is about Stephen A. And it is what it is. That's fine. It's just to listen to all this. In the clip that I watched online, Stephen A. brings this up, scolding LeBron. I didn't do this when I could have. I didn't do this when I could have. I didn't say this about you when I could have. But meanwhile, you're saying it all now. And then Kendrick Perkins, who I find very entertaining. Kendrick Perkins said LeBron James unfollowed him on Twitter. So Kendrick Perkins blocked him on his cell phone. I'm sure that LeBron James couldn't wait to call Kendrick Perkins. And now he won't be able to.
I know. What's he going to do?
That is going to be devastating.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't about any of us. What I do ain't about me. I mean, you could make it about you, but it's not. None of this is about me. And it shouldn't be about Stephen A., but when you have been told by so many people for so long how important you are, it's inevitable. It becomes about you. So I don't blame you, Stephen A. I blame all of us. We are the problem. When we come back, Brendan Marks from The Athletic. Duke in the Sweet 16. Can Caleb Love do it again? It has been a while since Caleb Love has done that, but can Caleb Love do it again? We'll get Brendan Marks' take on the rest of the Sweet 16 as well. Next.
Talking sports, so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
NC State basketball got their guy, Will Wade. He was number 1A on their wish list. He's coming off a win with McNeese State in the NCAA tournament, and all of that is nice, the sizzle, the buzz, it's great. But so much of it is still going to come down to the same thing. Does he have the NIL money to get the players on campus?
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Happy opening day. By all rights, should be a national holiday, but it's not. And FanDuel is giving all customers a chance to take a swing at $500,000 in bonus bets every day all the way through this weekend. It's part of the $500,000 daily home run jackpot. All you got to do, pick a guy to hit a home run. Aaron Judge, plus 210. How about Jazz Chisholm, plus 600? And that you get a bigger payout and you get a chance at $500,000 in bonus bets. That's right. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Must apply Profit Boost token on select market. Prize pool to be split equally among all eligible participants who made the correct pick. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Hello, Scott Forbes, head baseball coach, University of North Carolina. When it comes to choosing a dealership, I stick with Wilkinson, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC. Growing up in Sanford, I've been fortunate to be lifelong friends with Will Wilkinson. My family and I have been buying and having our vehicles serviced at Wilkinson for many, many years. Great service, competitive prices, and most importantly, a place you can trust. Go where I go. Go see my longtime friend Will Wilkinson at Wilkinson, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
HIV is not a crime, or it shouldn't be.
It's time for the laws to catch up to science.
Join the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation to modernize outdated HIV criminalization laws. Go to etaf.org. Campaign funded through the support of Gilead Sciences Incorporated.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use 2 screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch 2 games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry, I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's here. Organ music in honor of opening day in Major League Baseball. It is possible, because I've been there before, that Brendan Marks completely caught up in the hoopla that is March Madness and the Sweet 16, might not even know that it is opening day today. Were you aware that Major League Baseball, even though the Cubs and Dodgers have played twice in Japan, Major League Baseball's official opening day is today? Are you aware of it? Do you have a rooting interest in any team?
If you had told me that I had to know that information and my life depended on it, I'd be a goner. I don't even know what day of the week it is right now. So I will say my dad grew up around the corner from Fenway, so we have been lifelong Red Sox fans. It is actually one of the few fandoms that I still possess and maintain. So it has not been the best few years, so I'm hoping that this is a little bit of a different season, though.
I think it will be. I think everybody is very high on the Boston Red Sox. I know that they are hoping that Garrett Crochet will weave a great opening day start today. I had to work that in at some point. I apologize that it was at your expense, Brendan. All right, let's get to basketball. Duke obviously is a substantial favorite over Arizona tonight. But I think if there's one thing that Arizona possesses that might give Duke trouble is that Duke is not markedly bigger than Arizona. Arizona's got size. A lot of the teams that Duke has had to deal with, these, whether it's in the ACC or outside of it, those teams have not been as big, as long as Arizona. Is that one of the reasons why this game might be close?
I'm not so sure this game is going to be close.
I said might.
It could be. Listen, and that's obviously you're right. I mean, 100% you are correct. Duke's just massive size discrepancy has been one of its best assets all season long. We saw that obviously in the Baylor game in the round of 32. Norchad Omier was giving Duke a lot of trouble on the interior, especially in the first couple of minutes. He was, collecting offensive rebounds and scoring second chance points. And once he picked up his second personal foul and went to the bench, and then later in the second half when he picked up his fourth personal foul, basically everything came apart for Baylor because they just had no presence who could hang with Duke.
Right.
And Baylor's guards were obviously disincentivized just because of the guards they were facing. The size difference has been a thing all year. But to me, still, I'm looking at Arizona, and I don't know how the Wildcats stop Duke's offense, which, quite frankly, has become even better than its defense. Duke has the number one adjusted offensive efficiency in the country right now. It is still the second best team in Ken Pom ever. I think if this game is close, especially late, the fact that you have a guy in Caleb Love who's been there and done that before, it could be helpful. But I'm not so sure this is going to be a particularly close game.
Brendan Marks from The Athletic is joining us here at Brendan R. Marks on Twitter. I said this the other day. I know everybody. It's a great matchup because it is the 10th time that Caleb Love has played against the Blue Devils. And that is a remarkable number, especially since he's been out of the league for 2 years. But I think if Caleb Love has a Caleb Love game, I think Arizona can keep it close. But I think Duke would have to have a poor offensive game for them to not win.
Yes, I concur with you. And look, Caleb Love obviously has been as big against Duke as any player in not just North Carolina history, but NCAA history. And the fact that, it's 10 matchups and he's been out of the league for 2 years is insane. Caleb Love versus Duke is the drug that college basketball cannot quit. But I do think, and it's been fascinating going back and looking at some of his splits and sort of seeing how, the facts compare to my memory of some of these games.
Mm-hmm.
But since John Shire became the head coach at Duke, and since Tyrese Proctor arrived on campus, in 4 games against Duke, Caleb Love is 1-3, and he's averaging about 10 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
He's shooting less than 30% from three. He's averaging, I think it's 4 or 5 turnovers a game. And even this year on his home court at Arizona, when Duke came into town, he had about 8 points and really struggled.
Yeah.
So, again, if there's anybody who's going to have a game like this in a big moment, it's going to be him. However, based on the track record that we've seen since John Shire took over as Duke's head coach, it would certainly be a borderline superhuman effort for him to have the kind of games that we have seen him have against Duke, but a little bit further in the past.
And isn't it the benefit of Duke's depth that Tyrese Proctor, who is and can be an elite on-ball defender, that they can sacrifice his offense, as good as he's been, 64% shooting from three-point range in his last 3 games, which is just a gross number, but that they could sacrifice his offense because they have so many other sources of perimeter shooting that if they say, hey, Tyrese, lock him down whatever we get out of you offensively is gravy. I'm not saying that they're going to say this, but they could afford Tyrese maybe to not have a great offensive game because they have so many other ways to beat you.
Yeah, and look, the trajectory that Tyrese has been on the past couple of games is obviously ridiculous. Like you said, 64%, that's insane. I think 19 of 30 is what it is. 19 of 33 he's made over that stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's comical. Like, I don't think I could do that in an open gym if you lock me in there. So I think the thing is, it's not just Tyrese Proctor, though, right? For as good as a point of attack defender as he is, Sion James is going to have opportunities.
Yep.
And Sion James is a grown man. And Caleb Love is a good-sized guard, 6'4", 200 pounds or so. But he's not Sion James big. Obviously, Tyrese Proctor is going to get in there. There are going to be times when Duke switches Cooper Flagg onto Caleb Love. Con Knipple, again, bigger, stronger. Like, it's not like this is a situation where Caleb Love is playing like a like-for-like guard. All of these guys have a size advantage on him, and the one guy who he's most comparable to physically, Tyrese Proctor, has proven that he can stop him from the perimeter. So, again, I would never bet against Caleb Love in a big game because I've seen what he can do with my own eyes. However, I do think that it's going to be uphill sledding for him. And again, if he's able to do that, and that's what ends up costing Duke, you tip your cap to him and move on. He's the guy who could do it. I just think it's going to be a little bit of a tough sled because of the number of bodies, like you mentioned, that Duke can throw at him.
Arizona's pretty good, I think, on the offensive glass. That could be an area, and Duke has shown a little bit of vulnerability lately to offensive rebounding. Although once they shut that down against Baylor. And again, it had a lot to do with Norched Ormir being off the court. But once they shut that down against Baylor, Baylor's offense disappeared, completely disappeared. And that's what happened really for the last, say, 25, 30 minutes of that game. Where is Arizona, if it's not going to be Caleb Love, where is Arizona most likely to hurt Duke?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot lately about how do you beat Duke? How do you actually beat them? And I don't know that the ways that Kansas and Kentucky beat them are the ways that you can beat them now. But I do think that one way that Duke is susceptible at times, and which Arizona can have some success with, is if you can get Duke's bigs into foul trouble, especially if Malik Brown does not play tonight. And John Shire said earlier this week that he's day-to-day and there's a chance. But if he does not play tonight, then you're looking at a situation where, and we saw this in the ACC championship game against Louisville, Kaman Malawach, if he gets into foul trouble, or if Patrick Ngongba gets into foul trouble, one or the other is going to have to go for a much longer stretch of time than they have had to do all season long. And that was the case in the first half against Louisville. Patrick Ngongba got 2 fouls, and then Kaman Malawach had to play the last 7.5, 8 minutes, which is when Louisville was able to extend its lead and go into halftime beating Duke. That, I think, is a way where Arizona, you look at the size that they have. Obviously Henry Visar is gigantic. Trey Townsend, Toby Awaka, like they have size. So I do think that's an area where if Arizona can get Duke's bigs into foul trouble, suddenly it shifts Duke rotations. I think Cooper Flagg might have to spend a little time at the 5. Maybe Mason Gillis spends some time at the 5. And in that situation, now your rotations are different than they've been all year. And if those are a little sloppy, then that's when Duke can start to come undone. Again, this is like a hypothetical situation that nobody has been able to keep up for more than 2 or 3 minutes all season. But I do think if you're looking at ways that this Arizona team specifically, just because they're so poor shooting from 3, obviously that's one way where Duke has been susceptible too. I wouldn't expect Arizona to be able to challenge them there. But inside, getting those bigs in foul trouble, getting to the line, I think if Arizona is going to win this game, that's going to be a huge component.
I want to ask you about another game or two before we let Brennan Marks go, but I'm just curious, having been around them enough, do they seem particularly comfortable in this spotlight? Because while they haven't been number one, all year, I mean, this team has had a spotlight on them that even Auburn maybe hasn't, or Houston hasn't, probably because it's Duke. They're like Notre Dame football, like the Yankees in baseball. But do they seem comfortable in this, or is there any unease about it?
I think they seem completely comfortable. And I wrote a story today at The Athletic about their mental skills coach who has been doing a lot of work with the team behind the scenes. And Duke's path to the Sweet 16 did not start in November when they played their season opener against Maine. Duke's path to the Sweet 16 started immediately after Duke lost to NC State in the Elite Eight last year. Because everything that John Shire has done is about getting this team to this position and getting them prepared for this moment. So, let's say Duke is down 5 with 10 minutes left today.
Mm-hmm.
Mason Gillis is going to be there. Cian James is going to be there. Tyrese Proctor is going to be there. And Cooper Flagg is going to be there. And I think especially having those veterans there, having been tested in the second half of games down the stretch, these guys do not seem nervous or anxious or anything whatsoever. And, I think, for example, in Raleigh last week, when UConn was keeping things close and was holding a narrow lead over Florida for the entirety of the second half, you could feel courtside in Lenovo Center how nervous Florida was.
Mm-hmm.
They started missing free throws uncharacteristically.
Yeah.
They started making bad passes, and ultimately Walter Clayton Jr. was so good that he bailed them out himself.
He did.
However, I don't get that sense from Duke at all. And even when Baylor was hanging with him and Baylor was making threes and Baylor was, getting offensive rebounds, it was sort of this inevitability of okay, well, this won't keep up. This can't keep up. We are better. We are going to win. And that's the sense that I get from this team right now. Obviously they are getting to the point in the tournament where you're only facing really, really good teams,
Mm-hmm.
and you can lose at any moment. However, I think the work they've done mentally, that their mental skills coach has done, the way they've been talking about this, for basically a year now about getting back to this point, I don't think they're nervous in the slightest. I actually think they're, if anything, they probably just want to get out on the floor and play if they could already.
All right, I'll boil the rest of our time down to one question.
Yeah.
If you're Duke, and you can't assume anything, you at this stage you can lose to anybody, but if you're Duke, would you be more worried about Alabama or BYU on Saturday?
I think I'd be more worried about BYU.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be more worried about BYU. I think that everybody knows how good Alabama is, obviously, and they could beat anyone in the country, but I think BYU's defense offers a little more resistance. I think that BYU's offense is one specifically in their prowess from three. I mean, they've been one of the best offenses in the country since February 1st. And BYU as a team has had a top 10 offense most of this year. Their three-point shooting, I think, could give Duke problems, some of their depth. I think BYU is probably a worse matchup, weird as it sounds, for the Blue Devils. But, I mean, again, Alabama certainly, as it showed in the NCAA tournament last year, capable of making a bunch of threes, capable of taking over. I just am a little worried about some of their inconsistencies. I'm worried about Grant Nelson, how healthy he is. I worry about, Mark Sears has not had a good shooting tournament so far, versus BYU has looked insane for, the better part of 2 months now. So if I'm Duke, I'm probably, sounds weird, but I'm rooting for the 2 seed. But frankly, either one of those teams would be a great game. And, that game, I think specifically BYU Alabama has a chance to be the best game of the entire NCAA tournament.
I totally agree. And if you like points, it certainly looks like it's going to be a high-scoring game. Brendan Marks from The Athletic at Brendan R. Marks on Twitter. Sir, I appreciate your time always. Enjoy the rest of the run.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and I hope folks enjoy the games tonight.
You got to go Red Sox, by the way. My wife's a Red Sox fan. She's with you.
I like her already.
So do I. We have another thing in common. Outstanding. Thanks. That's Brendan Marks from The Athletic. When we come back in the Rewind, there is a little smidge of our conversation with Doug Glanville that we did not bring to you. And it has to do, this will be part of the Rewind, it has to do with whether or not the rules, the economic rules in baseball are fair. You know how I feel about it. But that will be part of our Rewind next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And are you ready for relatable topics? That's right. My bracket stinks. So does yours. So new customers at FanDuel can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins, $200 extra bucks to bet on anything from clutch shots to last-second heartbreaks, even who's cutting down the nets. Hey, you can get in whenever you like. If you have been waiting to join, no better time. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. FanDuel.com/AGS. Let's do it. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. North Carolina needs more than 12,000 RNs and 5,000 LPNs over the next decade to meet the demands of its aging and growing population. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, we speak with NC Healthcare Association President and CEO Josh Dobson to learn more about the need and where you or someone you know might fit in.
The people who work in hospitals and healthcare facilities, they really are the backbone of our communities. They are the ones providing care. They ensure quality treatment and making a difference in patients' lives every day. That's why it's so crucial to not only celebrate their work, but also encourage the next generation to step into these roles.
You can learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Do you know someone who's lost a loved one to overdose? Every day, the disease of addiction is taking lives and devastating families. But this crisis is preventable. Join the Governor's Institute in the Be a Superhero in the Overdose Battle campaign. Together, we can spread awareness, fight stigma, and save lives. Learn the signs of overdose. Know how to help. Visit governorsinstitute.org/superhero today, because doing nothing shouldn't be an option. Be a hero. Take action. Save a life.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This is Adam Gold.
Thank you very much for your time, man. We will talk again.
Adam, anytime for you, my friend.
Thank you. I don't know why it makes me laugh. Why does that make me laugh?
I don't know. Maybe you just are used to people being mean to you or something, like Twitter. I don't know.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos.
I have to end with the classic.
Yeah.
It's not the seventh inning stretch for people who are confused.
No, it is. It is not. Number of things. This is the stuff that I wanted to talk about. First of all, we haven't talked any hurricanes, and I want to get to a couple of Carolina Hurricanes things, and then you'll hear from Doug Glanville on does baseball need a salary cap? I had a relatively not long, but a friend of mine and I have very differing views on whether or not baseball needs a salary cap. Other sports have salary caps. It has, in many ways, served them very well. I have been of the mind, and I don't think I'm wrong, that baseball does not need one. That most sports don't need salary caps. What they do need is committed ownership and they need robust revenue sharing. Not across the board, but in certain areas there needs to be revenue sharing that provides assistance for teams that are at automatic disadvantages. And Major League Baseball has that. They could have a little bit more. I think that would be fair. But they need that. But that does not absolve the teams who do not try to win. It does not absolve them from that. And I promise you that, and we had Scott Dupree last week because everything that was going on in sports seemed to be going on here. He's a big Pirates fan. And I've had many conversations with rabid Pirates fans. And not a single one of them says, well, if we just had a salary cap, it'd be all better. No, because it ain't true. Because we have too many examples of teams competing. By the way, winning championships is not guaranteed to anybody. But we've had too many examples of teams not trying to win and teams in the same economic ballpark as them winning and competing to say, well, if we just had a salary, because that is the incorrect answer. Maybe this is harsh, but, and I'm not even going to get to this just yet. I'm just setting it up. But what a salary cap really does is, not for every sport, by the way, some sports need it to survive. But what a salary cap generally does is it simply prevents teams from doing what the teams want to do. And all it does is keep more money in owners' pockets. Hey, look, if you are fans of billionaires keeping money away from the players, then you should be pro-salary cap. I'm giving you carte blanche if you would rather see the owners stuff more money in their pockets, then by all means, you should be pro-salary cap. And again, it's not every sport. I think you can make a case that it is, well, I don't think you can make a case. I think it did save hockey. I think it saved hockey. In large part from being a sport where it was only beneficial or only survivable in a handful of places. So I do think it has saved the sport. But I don't think that about baseball. I think in the National Football League, it's clear that the amount of money that sport generates, their salary cap could be 50% higher than it is. But again, man, we need to make sure that the owners have everything. Everything. Bad ownership will never win. There's a lot of bad ownership in baseball. And there's also, at the same time, more competitive balance in baseball than there is everywhere else. I mean, it's not egregious, but if you looked at teams that won, that made the playoffs, that advanced in the playoffs, yeah, you're going to see your Yankees and your Dodgers, but you're not going to see, you're also going to see your Royals and your Tigers and your Rays and the teams that, like, I know it hasn't been great lately, the Athletics. You know, the A's have been good until very recently. And you know which teams you're also not going to see a lot? The Cubs and the Mets, because they haven't done it right. Lately, the Red Sox. I mean, they just haven't done it right. Money is important. It's just part of the equation. You can win without it. You can't really win without smarts. So the teams that have figured it out, maybe they have both, but the teams that have figured it out, that have done it smartly, they're going to win no matter what the economic system. We'll get to Doug Glanville's thoughts on do the Dodgers have an advantage in a second. Hurricanes were practicing today in advance of their game tomorrow against the Montreal Canadiens at Lenovo Center. And Andrei Svechnikov was back at practice, back practicing within the main group of 12. So, barring something odd, I think we could all assume that Svechnikov is going to draw back into the lineup. He was practicing with Mark Jankowski and Eric Robinson on a fourth line, which, frankly, the way Jankowski has played and the way Robinson has played, Svech might get a whole bunch of scoring opportunities. That line hasn't played a ton, though. Andrei's going to play. Andrei's not going to play, 11 minutes. He's going to be closer to 16 or 17. So my guess is it lasts all of about 2 periods before Andrei is either playing with Aho and Jarvis or Aho and Blake, or he's on a line with Taylor Hall and Jesperi Kotkaniemi. At some point during the game tomorrow night, I assume that to be the case. So I saw that, put a little thing on Twitter about it, and then it became a conversation about Andrei Svechnikov. And, well, this system is no good for Andrei. I know it's going to sound weird, and I love Svechnikov. But maybe this is about Andrei and not about a system. Because this has been the same general system for 7 years, and Svechnikov has, at times, been really successful in it. I would argue that, at times, Martin Necas has been very successful at it. I apologize for the head coach asking, star-level players to also play defense. I apologize for that. I know it sucks. We'd much rather have Andrei just loitering by the blue line while his teammates do all the work and just get Andrei the puck so he can score goals. Except that if Andrei were a better goal scorer, that might have some merit. I sort of understand it with Necas, but that's just not the way it works here. Everybody's got to, I keep hearing this, and it's funny when you're around Rod long enough, everybody's got to pull the rope. So everybody's got to play defense. When you look at Seth Jarvis, part of why Seth Jarvis is such a good player is because he has committed to both sides of the puck. What makes Sebastian Aho such a great player is his commitment to both sides of the puck. What opened the head coach's eyes to Jackson Blake as an NHL player this year was his work away from the puck, his commitment to learn. It's not perfect yet. But when you look at Jackson Blake's skill set and his ability to create offense, it wouldn't work if he was not also committed on the other side. But he is. So we get a chance to watch 53 play. That is not too much to ask. To ask a player to defend is not too much to ask. It should not be a criticism of the system, but apparently for some it is, and I don't understand. We would love Aho, Blake, and Jarvis to have created more scoring as opposed to scoring chances. We talk about this all the time. The Hurricanes are, by the way, notorious for this, creating tons of scoring opportunities without scoring enough goals. But Blake, Aho, and Jarvis have epitomized that exact thing over however long they have been together as a line now. They don't have a ton of production together. What they have is a ton of potential production together, which isn't as good as actual production. I agree. We would like them to score more. It has been 22 games since Jackson Blake's last goal. That's a long time. That's more than a quarter of the season. 22 games. January 23rd was Jackson Blake's last goal. But since we have eyes, we can see how good he's been. I agree. You'd like to see in that span the way he's played? 5 goals, which frankly, for the way he's played, would be a low number. And he has 0 in that span. And he has, I think, 25 points for the entire season. That's a low number for somebody who has played in now 70 games. 71 games, I think. It's a scary low number for somebody who has not only played basically every game, but has also been pretty noticeable in a good way in all of them. But if you watch, you can see what he brings every single night. I said this 30 games ago. I think he is a better offensive player already than Jarvis was as a rookie. That doesn't mean he's a better offensive player than Seth Jarvis now. I think he's a very different offensive player than Seth Jarvis is now. But to me, Blake is ahead of where Jarvis was as a rookie on the offensive side. He is a surprisingly willing and effective puck retriever. A lot of times sometimes after his own turnovers, but he will go pursue the puck. The Jarvis goal, trying to remember the game it was a few games ago. The Seth Jarvis goal that got Carolina on the scoreboard in the game was entirely created by Jackson Blake's back check just inside the offensive blue line that kept the puck in the zone. He got it to Aho, and Jarvis ended up finishing the play for a goal. And those types of things are part of the reason why Blake is so effective as a player. Now, quickly to Andre before we bring in this Doug Glanville bit. Andre needs to start. I'll rephrase this. Andre needs to stop trying to be a goal-scoring machine and start doing the things that will allow him to be a goal-scoring machine. Be a power forward. Don't be a playmaker. Because being a playmaker comes and goes. And this year, mostly goes. He's getting his points when he's played because he's on the ice a lot in situations where points are going to be gotten. And he scored a lot of big goals. It's not like he's been a 0. He just hasn't been what the Hurricanes need and want him to be. And I think for him, getting to that point means being very basic about his game. And that is be fast, be physical, be in your face, be a pest, and stop trying to be fancy. All right, with that said, Doug Glanville from ESPN. He'll be on the call of the Tigers and the Dodgers coming up at 7 o'clock tonight on your favorite ESPN radio station. Because I asked him about the Dodgers and their advantages. Would a salary cap help smaller market teams, or are there other things at work, like not trying to win, that are holding back some of those small markets?
Well, some of it is reinvestment. I mean, as the Dodgers could point to, I mean, the Mets had a higher payroll. There's a lot of teams that have money. Boston, you kind of forget because the Dodgers now taking all this heat on, they signed Thor last week or whatever.
Right.
They're taking all this heat. But then in the end, a lot of teams, you forget, like, oh, their payroll was $250 million.
Yeah.
It's like, and so there is something to be said for like a methodology and a strategy, and you certainly need a lot of luck. Guys have to be healthy. So it remains to be seen when, there'll be a change in the system to say, okay, this is not fair. But that's what happens when you're doing well. Most times people will copy you, and if they can't copy it right and you keep winning, then they're going to try to change the rule. So you want competitive balance. Absolutely. I think it's important to show up in spring training as a player and feel like you have a shot. I mean, that is important. I didn't like to show up in camp and be like, oh, they're the Braves again with all their Hall of Fame pitchers.
Right.
And, you just want to feel like you have a chance to win. And it's good to see the Royals do well. It's good to see the Tigers do well against the odds. Those moments are great for the game.
Who's going to challenge the Dodgers in the National League?
Everybody. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to beat them, but the Diamondbacks, watch out.
Yep.
They were number one in runs per game last year, and they got Corbin Burns. I mean, they're really good. Padres, always right in the mix. I still like a lot of teams in the East. You have the Braves, Phillies. You have the Mets, obviously, with Juan Soto. And I think the Central will be fine. It's like there's a lot of parity in my mind with the NL Central. So they're going to have their hands full, no doubt. I see a lot of really interesting, good teams this year. I think there's going to be some good baseball.
I agree. In the American League, the Red Sox made a splash with Alex Bregman. I'm not sure if that puts them over the top. Yankees were in the World Series until getting done. Well, I mean, they were in the World Series. I don't have to quantify it. Who are the challengers in the AL?
I like Boston a lot. I think they're tough. I mean, with Crochet, but Bregman and he has to stay healthy in these cats, but they're tough because what I liked about them last year is they're young. They were young and they were kind of like the Phillies were a few years ago. A lot of young guys that end up going to the World Series. They have now these guys with experience. They need help, of course, from guys like Story and all these guys that had injuries. But Duran and these cats are an exciting team. But throughout the league, I say careful with Houston. Seattle is always going to pitch. I see the AL Central as highly underrated, and because Royals are better, Cleveland's always good, Detroit can take a step forward, Minnesota's just always knocking on the door. Those guys are tough, and then you add Baltimore, Boston, the Yankees, Toronto.
Yeah.
So I see more like even battle in the American League.
It's Doug Glanville here on the Adam Gold Show. The just to get back to the salary cap thing. We haven't had a salary cap in baseball ever. First of all, you'd have to shut the game down to get one. It wouldn't solve the problems you think it would solve. The salary cap people think it solves all problems. It doesn't. And it doesn't make it any more likely that teams with bad management would ever win. The Jets don't ever win. Ever. Ever. The Jacksonville Jaguars don't win. Salary cap just gives more money with the owners, but if you're into that, that's fine. Victoria, I appreciate your time. Good luck to your Cubs. Do they play today?
Thank you. I don't think so. Maybe.
No, there's only, I think, 2 teams or 4 teams that don't. Anyway, good luck to your favorite team out there. See ya.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and do you have a